All right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We are back with yet more coverage of the Women's Asian Cup. In Australia, it's been a fantastic tournament so far. And today we've got the host taking on South Korea. The winners of this will top the group. If it is to be a draw, though, it will be South Korea topping the group and Australia going through in second place. So, Harry, coming into this game, it's quite an interesting situation. Two sides who are already qualified for the quarterfinals. We know how important that this seeding could be. The team that tops this group will end up playing Japan in the semi-finals. The team that finishes second will seed onto the other side of the draw. That's if Japan finish top. But based on their performances, we would expect Japan to finish top. So there's almost an incentive to not want to win this game and to actually go through as a second place side.
Yeah, it's a very weird scenario. It's not usually one you end up with, but of course both sides, they'll want to top the group. They'll want to maintain their perfect record so far, and I think that it is set up really nicely because they're both already through. The pressure's off in that sense, but they can go out and play freely and just give it everything to try and top the group, even if it is a less favourable semi-final. But they won't look at that just yet. They'll want to top the group. They'll want to get through, seed first and get through into the quarterfinals. But with both sides through, I think that it just takes that pressure off, and it means that we can enjoy what should be a brilliant game of football. And if both these sides play without fear and come and play their stuff, then it's going to be a brilliant match. So while the group may already be wrapped up in terms of who's through, I think this is going to be a brilliant battle for top spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same point we're making be made in the live chat. Jeremy's saying, I saw a YouTube video which had some Australian pilots saying that they want to avoid Japan in the semi-finals. And it's a quote from Sir Alex Ferguson that if two teams want a draw, that's usually the result that you end up with. Tom Blablo saying, yes, a draw is very likely. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, we could be in for a draw today. I think there's no reason for either side to overexert themselves. I have to say I'm a little surprised by how strong the Australia team is, and I think it's interesting to see certain players drop because I thought Amy Sayer was phenomenal the other day against Iran. And I thought they lacked creativity in the game against the Philippines. But today we see that midfield change back to a similar one to what we saw in that first game. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that the back four goes back to what looks quite full strength. I'm just very intrigued.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a catch-22 for Australia because, as you say, the better performance came in that second game where they did rotate players, but they'll want to get their biggest stars firing before they get into the knockouts. And I think that it's a really difficult one because, as you say, I think there's some rotation players in there who, after their performance against Iran, they deserve to come in and play this game. But equally, I can understand why Jay Montemuro wants to bring back in the main players, wants to bring back in the first 11 and try and get a win under their belt, try and get them to play put on a better performance going into the quarterfinals than they did in that first game because they need their big stars firing before we get into the knockouts. If not, doesn't matter who they're going to play, they're going to find it difficult. And I think that that's the way Australia will look at it because South Korea have been firing all tournaments so far. 2 really good 3-0 wins. They've played some nice stuff and they look convincing in both games. Australia are the ones for me that, as you say, they were brilliant against Iran, but the Philippines was a bit of a flat performance. I want to see a really good performance from Australia this morning.
Yeah, no, I take your point. I think for me, though, it's not the superstars that are the ones in this team that I would say perhaps you can rotate. It's some of the players who underperformed in the first game and were benched in the second game, and actually Australia played a lot better. Now, potentially the thought process is actually play them today, rest up the likes of Sayer and Van Egmond, who played both matches, and then look at bringing them back in for the quarterfinals, having a more well-rested team. Potentially that's the idea for Montemuro. Let's take a look then at the hosts, Australia. It's a 4-3-3 for Australia today. In goal, Mackenzie Arnold coming back into the side for the first time this tournament. Lincoln played the first 2 games and did an all right job, but Arnold back into the side. In the back four, then, it's going to be Carpenter at right back, a centre-back partnership of Hunt and Heatley, and at left back, it is Steph Catley. In the midfield 3, Alana Kennedy, fresh off her brace against Iran, in that pivot position, with Gorey and Wheeler flanking her either side. And then in the front 3, it's Fowler on the right wing, Ford on the left wing, and leading the line, it's Sam Kerr. So much quality in this Australia side, Harry. Where do you focus your attention today?
Oh, well, the front three. They're absolutely magnificent. All three of them playing in the WSL at the moment. Goals, quality across the board there. Fowler, Kerr and Ford. They're going to look to cause South Korea problems. And if they can work together and if they can be direct, that's what's going to win those games. That's what's going to cause the most problems. I thought that Caitlin Ford needs a better performance than against the Philippines. I thought, again, she struggled to just back herself to take on her opposing fullback. Got to be direct today. Got to make it difficult for that South Korea backline. But Australia, they've got quality across the board. They're solid defensively. They've got a brilliant front three supporting that attack. You've got the fullbacks, especially with Eddie Carpenter on that right hand side. Yeah, it's a really strong Australia side, and they'll back themselves to make it 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, absolutely. As for the visitors then, well, everyone's a visitor really in this competition when they're playing Australia, and that is South Korea. Now, forgive us, the AFC tends to be wrong. The lineup tends to be wrong even on the official AFC website, so we'll give it our best shot. But in goal, it is Kim Min-jung, a backline then of Kim, Ko Yu-jim, No Jin-young, and J.C. Gay. Then across the midfield, 4, it's going to be Mun on the right wing, Jun Min-young in the midfield alongside Park Soo-jung, and on the left wing, Cho Ri-yu-ri. And then a front line of Jin Young-young, and alongside her, the legend, Ji So-young. Exciting to see the South Korea side then. I thought they were really consistent across their 2 games, while Australia started sluggishly and really impressed against Iran. South Korea have been really consistent, 2 3-0 victories, coming into this game with a lot of confidence. I think there's a good reason for Korea to believe they can get something here.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I thought that in both games they looked really solid, and of course they're against weaker opposition, but they did well to navigate a very deep Philippines backline. And again, Iran was another easy game, but they've been scoring goals. They've kept 2 clean sheets. It looked really strong, and while Australia have done the same, it has just been more convincing for South Korea. They've got plenty of players that can cause Australia problems. Obviously, you mentioned the legend G there. What a player she is. She can still be, score against anyone on her day. Park Soo-jong as well, another player playing in Europe that's enjoying a really strong campaign, and again is another talented player that Australia have to watch out for in that midfield. But yeah, it's a really good South Korea side. They're full of quality. We know how technically good they are on the ball, and Australia have got to be wary of that, because if they allow South Korea to get the ball down and play football, then Korea are going to have a really good time with it. So yeah, 2 sides full of quality. It's bound to be a great game.
Absolutely, and it could very much come down to which ex-Chelsea legend or current Chelsea legend, in actual fact, which of those comes big in this game. That could very much come down to that. But the players making their way, they're in the tunnel now, set to make their way to the field shortly. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting match. I think, obviously, we've mentioned that we could see this game be a little bit cagey. I think a draw suits both teams. But equally, as you mentioned, there is that opportunity today where there isn't any pressure. You're already qualified. Is there part of one of these 2 teams that backs themselves? Let's get in that side of the draw with Japan in it. Let's go and take them on in the semi-finals, because then if we beat them and get to the final, we're in a fantastic position.
Yeah, I think both teams should try and look at it that way. If you're Australia, you look at it and you go, we're the host. This is our home tournament. Let's go out. We can beat anyone on a day. We don't care who we face. We're going to steamroll them. We're going to win the tournament. That's the way they've got to look at it. If I'm South Korea, exactly, they will relish the chance to maybe take on Japan in the semi-finals if they do top the group. But I think also they'll look at this game and go, right, we've won our first 2 games. Let's go make it a perfect group stage. Let's make it 3 wins from 3, and let's go and beat the home nation. That's that'll be a massive chunk. And when we start previewing those quarterfinals, and we look at it and go, well, South Korea, they managed to beat Australia, so it just shows where their level is at. That's going to do them a world of good. So I think both sides will look at. We'll look at this game, but also look ahead into the knockouts and think, if we can top the group, it's going to give us a massive boost. Again, it's that fearless nature of knockout tournaments. If you turn up to a knockout tournament and believe that you can beat anyone on your day, then you've got a great chance of going deep into the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the national anthems being played here in the stadium. So let's get into our predictions. If you're watching along to the show and want to get involved with this segment, let us know your scoreline prediction in the live chat. We're going to run through all of those ahead of kickoff, and we'll take a look at the poll in just a moment as well. So get your votes in and get your scoreline prediction into the live chat. We're going to start here in the studio, though, as always. And as always, Harry, you can get us started. Australia taking on South Korea. What is your prediction?
I think it'll be a very close game, but I am going to back South Korea. I think they're just going to nick it 1-0. I think it'll be a very close game. Both sides playing some really good stuff. Both goalkeepers being called into action, but I will say South Korea to win the game, and I will go for Park Seo-jong to get the winning goal. But I think it'll be a really tight match, no matter what happens. But I think Korea will nick it and put out put out a bit of a statement, really.
Yeah, fair enough. I am going to back Australia to edge it. I think it'll be a similarly close game, but I'm going to say Australia 2, Korea 1. I think it will be a tight one, though. I think what we've seen from South Korea at this tournament is they're very good going forwards. Where my question lies with them is what happens, and in fact, the same really for Australia, is what happens when their defence is tested. Because we've not seen either side come up against that kind of pressure yet. And I look at the Australia defence, there's a lot of experienced players in there. There's a lot of players who've played in Europe. There's a lot of players there who've played in some of the biggest games. And I think I'd back them to be able to step up, and I'd have faith in their defence. Where I have that unknown with Korea is what does their defence look like under pressure? And I think we'll go some way today to understand that. Now, there's every chance that both sides are a little bit cagey, so we don't get that full understanding. But I think we'll get closer to seeing where Korea's level is. And I do think against those stronger oppositions, their defence could really be put under pressure. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go 2-1 Australia. I'll say goals from Kerr. And you know what? Alana Kennedy is unstoppable right now. So I'm going to back her to score once again. And for Korea, I can't not go G. I just have to go G. So Ji So-young is my prediction to score for Korea. But I think it'll be a close 2-1 victory.
Yeah, I think as long as we get both sides playing, somewhat near their best, it's going to be a really, really good game. It will be very disappointing if one of these sides fails to turn up, because this is, it's such an exciting encounter. If we can get both these sides playing their best football, then it's going to be one of the best games of the tournament. And as you say, the pressure's off. They want to top the group. They want to go and land a blow on. Realistically, both these sides have got ambitions of going deep at this tournament. Both sides have got ambitions of reaching the last four, getting into the final, and especially if you're Australia, going on to win the competition. So yeah, it's one of those where for both sides to land that first blow on one of your rivals who's also going for the crown, it puts you in a great position for to kick on. And again, when we're looking at those predictions, we look at those quarterfinal matchups, we can sit, you will sit here and go, well, they've already beaten one of the biggest sides in this tournament, so that'll be a big boost. So I think, whoever gets the victory today, it's going to give them a little bit of an edge going into the knockouts.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy says, I think the fear of Japan is overstated. Of course they're good, but India were just not up to the standard. Can't read too much from that. I don't think my reading of Japan comes from that game, though. I think it's just that they are an incredibly good football team. I absolutely agree on India. I think that I was a bit disappointed because they put up a great fight against Vietnam. And it was always going to be difficult adjusting to this tournament. They made the bizarre decision to sack their manager in January, which, 2 months, not even that, away from a major tournament is utterly bizarre. And it was always going to be difficult to adjust with Emilio Valverde at the helm. And it was, they did well. I thought against Vietnam, they were pretty poor as they lost 11-0. I think that's putting it kindly, as they lost 11-0 to Japan. So, I don't think that's where my reading of Japan comes from. They are just a ridiculously good football team. I think they're the side that play the nicest football. I think the side that have the most potent threats. Yeah, they're playing some really nice stuff. So if they keep that going, I think they're going to be in a fantastic spot to go on and win this. But no, I don't think you can afford to just to be that scared of Japan. I think you've got to go into that game believing that you can back yourself. So yeah, I think we could see this game be a draw and Australia, sort of take that easier side of the draw. But I think there will be that desire to win. I think there's also a part of them where that side of the draw they'll be playing in Melbourne, I believe, which is not, that's what they want. They want to have those home matches. It's clearly been scheduled that way. So the idea is Australia get through and then they play in Melbourne. So I think they will want to be on that side of the draw. Actually, facing Japan in the semi-finals might be an easier game than facing them in the final as well. So I don't think there'll be that fear. It's just whether or not they want an easier run in the hope that Japan get knocked out, because that makes their life easier then, doesn't it? But if we think Japan can get through everyone anyway, then Australia are better off trying to face them in the semi-finals and beating them there. Poll in chat, by the way, 39 votes so far, 72% backing Australia, 15% going South Korea, and then 13% going for a draw. So, yeah, chat, majority going for Australia, but some votes for draw. and South Korea as well.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot. I think most people will expect Australia, with the quality they've got, with the pedigree of players that are scattered across Europe at their disposal. I think that a lot of people will favour them, but I think that South Korea will show in this game that they've again, it's that technical quality that we don't necessarily see, because we mentioned a couple of players that do feature do feature in Europe, but I think that they're a side full of quality, and I think they will give Australia a brilliant game here.
Absolutely, and it will be the Matildas to get us started in this Asian Cup fixture. The last game of the group stage. Both sides already qualified for the quarterfinals, but a win would see them go top of the group and seed in as the first place team. It's Sam Kerr from the middle then, from Australia, to get us underway in this fixture. Waiting for the referee's whistle, who does now signal the start. Kerr knocks it back. Are underway in this matchup. It's Australia taking on South Korea, the last game for these two sides in the group stage. And of course, we will be keeping tabs across the conclusion of Group A today. Iran taking on the Philippines at the same time. The winner of that one has a great chance of progressing at the moment. Ball played quickly in behind, and the chase given by Claire Wheeler. Not how to play well by Kim. And Australia already there, putting South Korea under pressure.
Yeah, South Korea have got to settle in early doors. Box defending's got to be good today. They can't afford to give Australia any cheap opportunities. But yeah, you'd expect Australia to come out, use that home crowd, and try and get on top early.
Yeah, absolutely. Catley there, drawing the foul. That'll be a free kick now for Australia. Move it around the back. Hunt. Looking to go a little more direct. Nice pass now, hitting the diagonal into Caitlin Ford, who looks to be dangerous. Ball floated in there, and Sam Kerr can't quite get her head to it. Good claim from Kim Min-jung. And then the ball sticking well in midfield, but it's won back quickly by Wheeler. Great recovery as well from Katrina Gorey to maintain possession. Here's Caitlin Ford now, wants to drive inside. Gorey forced backwards. Kennedy now probing on the edge. She's got that taste for goals in this competition. Heatley spreading it wide. Catley into Caitlin Ford. Trying to create the angle for the delivery. Forced backwards though to Heatley. And now Hunt. Carpenter looks wide. Fowler on the ball. Shuffled backwards there initially by Jiang. And then a strong challenge coming in from the recovering Choi in there. And trying to play down the line. It's a strong challenge from Kennedy that stops the Korea counter.
Yeah, again, tempo being set and the game plan kind of unveiling itself very early doors. Australia are going to be the ones on the ball. South Korea are going to sit in a little bit and look to make it difficult for them. But when they get the opportunities to turn it over, when they get the opportunity to pounce, they're going to look to push up, be aggressive and turn the ball over.
Absolutely. Coming down the left-hand side now, the left back, Jiang Selgi. That's a good challenge again there to stop Korea coming forwards, and a throw in on this near side. And Korea not in a rush. Sam Kerr is, though. And yeah, Shin Sang-woo came into this tournament saying they were going to kick on. They're finalists, runners-up in the 2022 edition. They said they were coming into this tournament with belief that they could go on and win it all. And by the way they've played so far has been incredibly positive, incredibly encouraging for those aspirations. This is the big test, though, of the early stages. Ball down the line. Held up well by Park Soo-young. Pass inside now. Can Korea penetrate? Ball down the line. Here's Ji. And then Jiang Selgi just forced backwards. And all the way back to the goalkeeper, Kim, who's going to launch it towards the right-hand side. Ball knocked in behind. Hunt is going to have to deal with this one under pressure. Ooh. It's a loose back pass, and Arnold does get there. Tries to launch it out of play. Catley wins the header. Now Ford. Back to Catley, just about under pressure here, though. Here's Ford. Knocks it inside. Possession turned over quickly. And held up by the striker. Great challenge from Hunt. And that takes a sting out of the attack there. And now Australia looking to break. Great hold up from Kerr. Now Gorey lifts it forwards to Sam Kerr. Kerr now has support. Goes from range. And a comfortable save for Kim Min-jung.
What an exciting start from both sides. First, the heart-in-mouth moment for Claire Hunt. Just didn't put enough on the back pass to Arnold, who did incredibly well to get there. And then Australia pouncing well, moving it forwards quickly, and not a bad effort from range from Sam Kerr, but a little bit too central, and a pretty easy claim in the end. But end-to-end football to start this game.
Yeah, I think Gory's got to look right there. Fowler bursting forwards in acres. It was a difficult ball, and I mean, she pulled it off to find Kerr, but you're always going to leave Kerr quite isolated in there. And that's why I think she took that shot on so early. She had defenders either side. Korea now building out from the back. Kim Min-jung on the ball. Plays it to the left-hand side with No Jin-young. And now going down the left wing. Nice dart inside here from Park Seo-young. Held up well by Ji-young. Now forced backwards. Korea. And that's a poor pass. Gory picking it off. Lifting it in behind. Kerr breaking. And it's a good challenge to get across from Ko Yoo-jin. Important challenge there from the right centre half.
Yeah, really good. Stepped in well, backed herself, and timed it well. Easy to get those ones wrong.
Ball knocked down the left-hand side. Park Seo-young carrying it inside, looking to spread the play now to the right flank. Mun puts it in there. It's blocked. And strong from Kennedy to head it away. Kept alive here by South Korea. The game will be stopped now. Catley down with a head injury.
Yeah, took the cross square in the face. But again, Park Seo-jong is making things happen for South Korea. Just picks the ball up there, and it's too easy from Australia to allow her to dart inside and play that crossfield pass. And the ball in, well blocked by Catley, but yeah, point blank range, took it to the side of the head. Understandably going to take a moment, but yeah, really good start by both sides, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. Both sides playing really good football, because we knew it was going to be close. But yeah, South Korea, you can tell they're playing without fit. They're enjoying it. They're getting the ball down. They're coming at Australia, and I think that almost catches Australia off guard a little bit, because they're expecting to be the ones on the ball. Montemurro wants to dominate the ball, wants to dominate have the momentum, and I think that South Korea are doing very well early doors to just kind of get a hand on this game and say, well, actually, there's two teams in this game. I think that in Australia's first two games, both oppositions have let them have way too much of the ball, and it's been way too easy for them. I mean, the Philippines did well defensively, but they had like 15% of the ball in the first half, which is never going to challenge. So, yeah, good to see South Korea getting on the ball early doors and just trying to take away a bit of that control from Australia.
What we are seeing, though, is there's more space for Australia to attack into, and so by that same token, it can go the other way now, where they find that little bit more space. They're able to break in behind more effectively. And it's not quite like the other games where they are moving in a circle around a low block. They've had these early chances. Yeah, they've not quite come off, and that final ball's been lacking. But they've got a shot from Kerr now. Kerr was almost in behind again. It's been positive from Australia to react to that and be a little bit more transitional, move the ball quite quickly in this kind of game. Catley does seem to be all right. Then we'll go off for a moment as she received treatment. Kerr rallying the troops, taking this opportunity to have a chat with her players. And Catley, I think, just passing now those concussion tests, the concussion protocols. Does get back to her feet. Just does seem a little bit dazed there, Steph Catley, still as she's getting up. But, I mean, the doctors will be doing every test to ensure she's okay. If she isn't, then they have options from the bench that they can use. I mean, I was super impressed with Nevin coming into the side in that game against Iran. I think it gave them a little bit more of an attacking intent from both fullbacks. Using Catley in that role is naturally going to be a little bit more defensive. So there's an option if Catley can't continue. They will play on. So for the moment, 4 drops in to that left-back position. And Australia playing a 4-4-1 until Catley can return. Ball lifted in behind. Chance for South Korea to hurt them. Ball played in now. It's dealt with just about, and Kennedy lashing it clear. And Australia will just have to play defensive football for a few moments.
Yeah, South Korea, we disappointed they didn't get anything from that scenario. It's a lovely clip ball down the line. And I think that it was a decent cross, but someone's got to convert it, or you've got to at least try and come away with a corner there. That was a good opportunity to pounce while Australia were down to 10.
Indeed. Here is Kim Min-jung. Now, No Jin-young. Carrying to the left-hand side. Knocks it across the back line into Ko Yoo-jin. Exchanging with Kim, the right back. Now back across her back line into No Jin Young. Wide into Jang Selgi. Back inside now. Here's G. Slots it through the lines. That's really important from Heatley to get a touch on that and stop it progressing. One back in there, but a little too aggressive from Jeon Yu-gung. And so that will be a free kick now to Australia. So they move it to the left-hand side. Hunt. Here's Heatley. Wheeler back to Heatley. Carpenter goes down the line. Fowler now on the touchline. Comes inside with the ball now. Looks to hit it in behind. It's picked off, but it's won back by Kennedy. Carpenter with space to work with now. Cuts it back. Ford should score. And that is poor from Caitlin Ford. It's a little bit behind, but she had the time to take the touch there. Instead, lashing it over the bar.
Yeah, rush from Caitlin Ford. Again, really good from Carpenter. Bursts into the space. The cutback is perfect. Across the box, catches, keeps the defenders the wrong side of the ball. And Ford again.
Yeah, did really well as well to just push that away from goal, Kim Min-jung. Australia had numbers high there. They pressed aggressively. They had options if it spilt out. Heatley into Carpenter. Hitting it in behind early here, and it's well defended, but it's out for a throw. And Australia, because they're moving the ball quite quickly, they are making South Korea's backline panic a little bit. And no Jin Young there. Just didn't really need to knock that out of play. Had the time to take the touch, but it's just that panic setting in as that ball was knocked in behind and Kerr's running off your shoulder. You do just start to worry. Ball kicked out of play again there by Jang Seo-gi. Felt like there were better options again, though, for Korea.
Yeah, it's that game management. You know, that example there. They can probably let that ball just run out for a goal kick, just shield it out of play. Don't need to gift Australia a throw for no reason. And
if it doesn't hold up, your centre-half's not under pressure there. So play it to her and she can knock it longer and further away. Kennedy into Kerr, tries to flick around the corner. That's too technical, doesn't quite come off. Ball knocked in behind. There's a good opportunity here. Heatley's been caught high. Here's Jeong. Plays it across. Can she find a teammate? She will. And South Korea stun the hosts. A lovely move in behind. Knocked in behind for Jeong Young-yu. And then squaring the ball. And it's Moon on hand to finish it off. Lovely move from South Korea. Jeon does well. Makes the run. Heatley caught high. Plays the ball perfectly there, Jeong. And it's Moon Eun-ju in position to just touch it past Arnold.
Brilliant. Brilliant breakaway from South Korea. Jeong does so well here. The burst away is good. She feels Heatley on her back. And the pass across the box is superb. With the left foot. Perfect weight to get it around Hunt, but to pick out her teammate. And again, this is instincts kicking in. Really good slide just to poke it past Arnold. That is an incredible breakaway from South Korea, and Australia just caught too high. Heatley stepped up to cut out the initial through ball, but she just gave it straight back to South Korea. And they punish. Brilliant breakaway goal.
Indeed, and perhaps they're ruining now those early missed chances. Australia, a few chances they haven't quite been able to take. And South Korea have stung them in response. And they lead now 1-0 in this game in Sydney. Fowler lifting it into the box. Scory. It drops now for her in the box. Cleared away though. And held up well by Park Soo-young. Tidying out from G. Plays it down the line. Here's the fullback. Played back inside towards G. Lovely combination there between Jang and G. And now knocked into this wide space. Choey plays it back. Here's G again, who's going to knock it in behind. And, well, Catley on hand. Read what was going to happen there and just dropped off a little bit more. But, yeah, they're doing really well at the moment, South Korea, to stretch that Australia backline. Introducing some verticality into the game. And it's something I spoke about on the game against the Philippines, where if the Philippines could go a little more direct, it felt that there was that transitional threat against a somewhat slow Australia backline, especially with how high Carpenter tends to be. It's difficult for her to get back in there. And we saw that to full effect for that South Korea goal. Kennedy launched that up the line. That has gone out of play anyway. For is an Australia throw-in. So South Korea will have to drop back into their defensive shape here. Australia will look to progress down the right-hand side. Carpenter with the ball. Options ahead of her. No one really, though. Darting into space. Could have gone down the line to Fowler. She used to go back, though, to Heatley instead. Hunt. And now Korea have got something to defend. And we've seen this story before with Australia in the opening day, on the opening game, where they had a lot of the ball. But actually, now that Korea are sitting in a little bit deeper, they're not moving particularly quickly.
Yeah.
And that will be a concern. I think, again, you've brought in the same players who really struggled to move the ball quick enough. You've taken out Amy Sayer, who I think is such an important part of the creativity. Here is Jang, lovely there, to wriggle through the Australia players. Tries to switch the play quickly. Catley on hand, though, to collect the ball. And does manage to get it back to Mackenzie Arnold. And there was a bit of a wild attempt to win it back from Cho. Advantage played. Australia keep the ball. Here is Heatley. Gabby says, I hope we'll see both Nevin and Sayer today. They've done well so far playing for Malmo in the Damallsvenskan. Yeah, I think they both should have started. I think they were both really good in that game against Iran. And, I understand why you want to bring in experienced internationals, but I think players like Wheeler and Gorey and Catley, to be fair, struggled in the opening game. And I think having those players, Nevin at fullback to provide the width, Sayer in there adding that creativity, it just gave them a different dimension. It made them move the ball a lot quicker. They're a lot more aggressive. And I think they can afford to play like that. I understand in the World Cup where you might be a little bit more defensively minded, but in this kind of competition where you should be favourites, I think you can afford to be a little more attacking. Well, speaking of Courtney Nevin, Catley down again here, and Nevin is ready to come on.
Yeah, I think Catley just feeling the effects of that initial head injury, which will be really poor if that is the case.
I was going to say the medical staff absolutely should not have allowed her to continue if there was any risk. If she is feeling those effects, then you've got to question the judgment.
Yeah, she's going to come off.
This will be a change at left back then. Courtney Nevin coming on. Let's take another look at that goal in the meantime. A great breakaway. The other thing I didn't mention on this goal is the defending from Australia, because what's so good about this pass is that Hunt can't do anything.
Yeah.
So if she slides in this, it's just going to be an own goal.
Yeah.
So she's better off hoping that the South Korea forwards, Moon Eun-ju, just misses it. But great ball from Jeon.
It's incredible. The technique is superb. Just to clip it across with the left foot.
And for Arnold as well, as much as it looks like it's quite close to her body, it's very difficult to read that situation. Now, I do wonder if she could be a little braver and jump on that ball.
Yeah.
But, yeah, again, Nicole Kitt was coming in for her first start of the tournament. It was always going to be a little bit difficult to see her adjust. And, yeah, it's a difficult one to save when it's at such close range and it's moving so quickly. It's difficult to judge. But, yeah, great finish, has to be said. And a great move from South Korea. So, yeah, Australia forced into their first change, and Steph Catley coming off the field. It'll be interesting to see whether that is judged a concussion substitute or not. I think because of the delay, it may not be, but there's every opportunity, there's every chance it has been. So, Courtney Nevin coming on as, Steph Catley. I wonder why Carpenter's coming over. It's just to give her a high five.
Like that. But that's something that South Korea have got to look to punish as well. Nevin coming on, wasn't warming up. Wasn't ready to come on, so it's definitely something they've got to try and target while she's still trying to get into the game.
Heatley spreading it wide to Fowler. Montgomery Fowler knocks it down the line to Carpenter. Now Fowler driving inside with the ball, and back in there well by G, and they look to move it quickly again. Korea drops in midfield now for Moon Eun-ju. One back well in there by Wheeler though, and Australia back in possession. Nevin goes down the line, picked off well by Ko Yoo-jin. Now battling away in there. It's one back by Wheeler. And here's Hunt. Heatley. Carpenter looking down the line, back into Heatley. Moves to the left-hand side. That's another poor pass. Just a miscommunication there with the substitute. And it's one high here by Joey. Looks inside. Here's G. Feeding it through the lines. Important intervention there from Heatley. G's just making everything tick at the moment, though.
Really good recovery from Heatley there.
Ball knocked wide. Park So-young. Heading out, and it's over the bar. That's Mun looking for her second of the game.
Yeah, again, really good football from South Korea, pouncing on the pass and turning it into a good move. It's another nice delivery, this, from Park So-young. And I think that Mun's got to do better there. Just the ball almost hits, she kind of stands still and lets the ball hit her on the head, and it just skews off. Needed a bit more control on that header.
Yeah, indeed. Under pressure now is Kennedy. Does well there to play it back to Heatley. Now all the way back to Arnold. 20 minutes and we just haven't seen Australia settle at all. They've had more of the ball marginally, 55% possession to 44%. But yeah, they've... and to be fair, I mean, dual success rate, 92% on the duels, 100% on aerial duels.
Wow. But
they haven't been able to stop South Korea when they have got the ball, and they've slipped it in behind again here. Here is Park So-young. Looking for options. Knocks it backwards now to Jang. Here's G. Inside to Park. Round to Jang. Lovely football. Ball in, and Arnold pounces. Too close to the goalkeeper there, but that was a lovely combination down the left-hand side.
Really good football between the three South Korea players on this left-hand side, and it just needed to be a better ball across the box. A move that was worthy of the goal, but the final cross just letting them down. But again, the combinations in South Korea, we speak about that technical quality that they possess. That's what we're talking about. The 1-2 touch football that Australia just can't seem to handle in the final third.
Absolutely. No, Jin Young held up well in there. And now G. Look to feed the right-hand side. Back, though, to Jung. Inside now to Jung again. Back towards Ko Yu-jin. Ko Yu-jin surveying her options out towards Kim. Who's going to knock it in behind. An opportunity here for Choey. If she can square the ball. Wants to take on Hunt. It's blocked away. And then Nevin gets that all-important touch to clear it as far as Gory. And the offside flag follows. Choey had gone too early there.
Yeah, think it was just offside. Probably the right decision. But again, that threat in behind is there for South Korea. And Australia have got to be careful it doesn't catch them out again. They haven't reacted in the way that I thought they would, Australia, to going a goal behind. There hasn't been an improvement. They haven't had more chances. And if anything, they look better before the goal went in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've just dropped off. It seems they've been a bit shocked by the fact they conceded. Carpenter towards Fowler. Strong challenge as well there from Jang. I think the other thing is that they've, obviously, Korea have now changed the way they're playing. Is that they're a little bit deeper. And the space that Australia were finding and opening out quite early in this game, it's dissipated.
Yeah.
And so I think there'll be a real frustration that Australia didn't exploit some of those gaps. Jan goes down the line. Held up well in there by G. Battling away for it with Carpenter. Takes a final touch of Ellie Carpenter. And a throw in on this near side then. Ji So-young still got it. Has been incredible so far in this game.
Yeah, I've seen enough. Get her back in the WSL. Just a top quality player. Just does everything in there for South Korea.
A little bit clumsy between G and Jiang, and as soon as we praise someone, it's the curse, the commentator, making that mistake. Gory holds the ball up well, feeding the left-hand side. Ford, one back in there well by Jung, knocks it back to Ko. Now Kim in the net, launching that ball forwards, Kim Min-jung. Held up well in there by Jeon. Nevin. Lovely give and go between Gory and Kennedy. Kerr turns on possession. Spreads to the left-hand side. Can Ford be decisive? Takes it to the byline. Looks to cut it back. Great defending there from Kim. And it's been ran out of play there by Caitlin Ford for good measure.
I'm not too sure how that's been given a goal kick, really. And then maybe there was a final nick off Ford, but they looked for all the world that it had been turned out of play by the South Korea defender. Here we go.
Just take that
That's a great, yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, Ford obviously puts her hand up as a loose call for it, but there wasn't too much complaint afterwards, was there?
No. Yeah. Great decision in the end. But they've 25 minutes, South Korea have been superb. And that's the problem, is that Australia have now allowed them to grow into the game.
Ball sent through, and it's just bounced all the way through there. An important challenge from Nevin, because Hunt just got caught high. Wheeler now clipping it down the line. Can't find Ford, and that's had a play. And they are struggling now, Australia.
Just between Hunt and Heatley, they've really struggled so far. Both of them have made some good, important challenges, but both of them have stepped up, and just the decision making's a bit wrong. And I think in those opening games where they were able to step up and just be aggressive and win it, they're just misjudging it a little bit in this game. That is a tame shot from Fowler, and easily picked up by the South Korea goalkeeper.
The thing is, I think Australia have got a lot of very aggressive centre halves. Like, I think you look at all their options that could play at centre back, and they are all players who like to step up. They don't really have anyone who's a great recoverer, and that is clumsy from Hunt. And you can make an argument for a yellow card. I think should escape the book. And
again, that's exactly what we're speaking about. Steps up, misjudges it, gets it wrong, and then, a tackle that's closer to rugby than it is to football. She just grabs the South Korea forward by the waist and drags her down.
And if she doesn't do that, they exploit the space that she's left behind.
Yeah.
I'd almost make an argument for playing Catley in there. Ball play quickly. Here's Jung. Can she fashion a shot? So many players for Australia back in the 18-yard box. Shot now from range into the grateful clasp of Mackenzie Arnold.
I'm surprised they didn't use that. They caught everyone out. And I'm really shocked that South Korea haven't managed to turn that into a second goal.
Fowler, Carpenter. Yeah.
I think the first touch wasn't good enough, but yeah, I'd like to see that one back, because that, we were sat here talking, and the next minute they're taking it quickly, and she was stood low in on goal. Look to maybe just get it wrong. Hopefully we'll get a replay.
I think even with the players dropping, you just take the shot there.
Yeah.
Try to rework it. Just there wasn't really the space for that. Heatley. Here's Fowler. Back to Hunt. Kennedy's just dropped here into the back line. We saw a bit of this the other day. The intrigue will now be, in that game we saw Van Egmond, and we saw Saya getting in those higher rolls. That's a smashed ball forwards. And it's a comfortable claim for Kim Min-jung. But we saw Van Egmond and we saw Saya really effectively stretch opposition midfield and create those angles. It'll be interesting to see whether we can see Gorey and Wheeler do the same thing, with Kennedy dropping deeper. Ball lumped forwards. Kennedy assertive in midfield, one back in there well by Jung. Ball slipped in behind. Opportunity now for the goal scorer. Moon knocks it back and swung into the box by Choey. It bounces around and not fully dealt with there by Hunt. Kennedy on hand though to lash it clear. And Gorey too strong in there. Overstepping the line and fouling G.
Yeah. They're not having it all their own way, Australia, and they are not happy with it. That's simply just frustration for Gorey. Just crashes into the South Korea player. Very clumsy. Lucky to not pick up a yellow card. There's a couple now that Australia have escaped. But yeah, they're not enjoying it at the moment, the hosts.
Mark Barker onto the stream says bring on KCC in the second half. Needed badly. Yeah, I think coming across or Sayer, but you just need a bit of creativity in that midfield. You've just got... I don't think we're really seeing the best of Katrina Gorey at this tournament in terms of her creative attributes. We're seeing a lot of her more defensively in the WSL as that sort of deep-lying player. Someone who can build up, or can create, but it's more often used in build-up. Ball in now from Jang, well lifted, but no one able to get on the end of it, and Arnold claiming it comfortably. Then you've also got in there Wheeler, who's a bit of a utility player, and Kennedy's a centre half. I just don't really see where the creativity is coming from. You need a Cooney Cross there to progress the play. You need a Sayer to create chances. You just need someone in there to make things happen.
Yeah.
They rely too heavily on an out of form forward to create opportunities, and Ellie Carpenter. Ball played forward into Wheeler. And those crosses just aren't really coming off at the moment into Kerr. They have now swapped forward and Fowler, which will be interesting. They did this in the game against Iran. I did think that looked a little better. With Fowler getting more space on that side. Worked quite nicely with Nevin. Slips it in behind. And a assertive challenge there from Kerr. Kerr gets across though and beats Kim to the ball. Needs support now. Plays it into Fowler. Fowler now takes aim into the side netting. And well, has she scored or not? There's a celebration from the crowd there. But it's just a shot into the side netting. And the cannons went off behind the goal, but it's definitely not an equaliser there for Australia.
I thought my eyes had deceived me. I definitely saw it hit the side netting and everyone started celebrating.
And the goalkeeper puts her head down like she's made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's all very confusing. But no, Mary Fowler striking it wide. And yeah, there was fans in the crowd celebrating.
Well, that's the second time the cans have gone off this tournament when they think the goal's gone in.
Yeah. Corner now for Australia. Fowler lifts it in there. Assertive goalkeeper and Carpenter keeping it alive. Here's Kerr. Touches it down towards Kennedy. Cleared away on as far as Hunt. Now shot from Fowler. Kennedy touches it home and it's her third of the tournament as Australia draw level in this game. It's bubbled home from a corner, kneed on by Alana Kennedy, and Korea call for VAR to intervene, claiming an offside, but for the moment it will stand. Alana Kennedy with her third goal in 2 matches as she starts in this midfield, and Australia draw level in this game.
Yeah, it's not scrappy. It is scrappy, sorry, it's not pretty, but it's in the back of the net for Australia. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, as I say, there were a lot to look through because it was just such a mess in that penalty area. South Korea just failed to deal with it. And Kennedy just gets what looks to be a calf on it just to put it past the goalkeeper who should do better. Does get a hand to it, but from close range can't keep it out. But yeah, what a mess from South Korea.
And VAR will check it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The player that was calling for offside there was Jang. She was the player who was sat deepest, and the decision is that it is a goal. They have checked it, and the check is complete. And Australia are level, at least according to the graphics. But yeah, it was Jang on the near side who was calling for that to be offside. She was the one who was stood so deep that called everyone onside. Is there any initial foul? Not there. Is there any offside in the build-up? It doesn't look like it. I don't think there's anything that could be disallowed here.
I mean, when you play it through like that from that angle, it looked like a brilliant move.
And there we go. That goal is allowed. Sorry. Australia draw level. Alana Kennedy in red-hot form of this tournament.
South Korea will be really frustrated because Australia really haven't threatened since the first 5 minutes, and that is a really poor goal to concede.
Here's Ford. Can't quite hold on to that one. Ends up running it out of play. Jeremy says she made a good call picking Kennedy to score. Yeah, I mean you got to back it.
I would say she's the top goal scorer at the tournament, but Japan scored 11 yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say they had 2 players scoring hat tricks, Miyazawa and Riko Ueki, I believe. So yeah, they were dominant.
Yeah, but Australia have got to use it now. That's a bit of a lifeline because they really weren't threatening Japan. They weren't really threatening South Korea, but they've got to use that goal and try and claw back some momentum in this game. 12 minutes till half time now. If they can turn it around completely, that would be a pretty decent half, all things considered.
Yeah. Carpenter. Back now to Hunt. Yeah, as it stands, it is Myung-Yu Jung on 4 goals, who is top goal scorer for North Korea. Then 3 Japanese players in Anthems are Kiko Seike and Riko Ueki, all with 3. Tied now is Alana Kennedy with 3 goals at the competition, but it's Korea coming forwards. G knocks it wide, cut out well by Heatley. And forward puts pressure on the ball as Zhang launches it back forwards. Bounces through. Heatley wins the header, and now Gorey carrying it forwards. And there just seems to be a shift in the belief here. Fowler slips it in behind. Kerr into score. Can she take aim? Into the side netting, and that's poor. No, into the side netting, lifting it over the side netting. In actual fact, got to go across goal there, Kerr, surely.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed. The ball is a little bit overhit from Fowler, and it just sends Kerr wide. But a player of Sam Kerr's quality really should be capitalising when she's in on goal like this. It's good defending to get across and narrow the angle, but yeah, Sam Kerr's got to do better there.
Yeah, I think the problem is Fowler delays it too long. Takes time getting that under her control. By the time she does, it has to be hit with that kind of power. If not, it would have been picked off by the recovering No Jin Young. Forward, trying to drive that forward. Is pulled back in there by Jung. Free kick now for Australia, and assertive officiating there from the Japanese referee, and now not happy with the fact that Candy wants to take it quickly because she wants to have a chat with Park.
Yeah,
Australia going to treat this more of a set piece now.
I just love all this talk about Sam Kerr, Mary Fowler, Caitlin Ford, and it's Alana Kennedy who's currently leading the way for Australia on the score sheet.
Indeed. Fowler then over this. Maybe London City have got to get her higher at the pitch.
Maybe, yeah.
They need a goal scoring forward. Imagine that Michelle Kang spends £3 million and ends up with Alana Kennedy up front. Korea breaking away here. That's not the delivery Australia were looking for. As it's Park So Young carrying it forwards. Exchanging now with Jung. Back to Park. Options inside. Goes back to Jung. And the switch of the play now finds Zhang in space on the left-hand side. Needs support. Goes inside. Jung. Zhang back to Jung. Knocks it forward. Well held up there by Jion. Mun. Lovely give and go here with Kim down the right wing. Tries to take on Wheeler. Does well. Now needs some support though. Knocks it back. Here's Jung in midfield. Tries to find Jung. Kim knocks it in behind now, and a run there from Joey. Not exactly coming off. Nigel wants to stream. Says, yes, chat. Seems like a good game already. For whatever reason, I didn't get the notification from YouTube that you were streaming, which makes no sense because I've got channel notifications on. Indeed. Welcome to the wonderful world of YouTube, where you just never know if you're going to get notifications or not. But thank you for joining us now, Nigel.
Yeah, it has been a brilliant game. It's lived up to exactly what we were talking about in the build-up, that if both sides turn up and play at their level, it's going to be a really exciting encounter. And yeah, been a great game so far.
Australia now in possession. Heatley. Hunt. Finds Nevin. Now Fowler wants to come inside. Great header in there from Ko. And Korea trying to break quickly. Ball knocked on there by Mun, and that's got to be a yellow card. Hunt drags back there. Jion. And that will be a free kick for Korea and a yellow card now for Hunt, who's had a really difficult game.
Yeah, I don't really know what's... It's been tough for both centre-halves for Australia. They've been tested in this game and they've not risen to it well. Just they're getting caught high at the pitch way too often. And they haven't got, especially in Hunt's case, she hasn't got the pace to recover. And that's something they've got to deal with. I think at Tottenham, she's really enjoyed this season that because of having Toko Koga there, it's worked really well that Hunt can step up and be aggressive and not worry about getting caught out. But at the moment, Australia are just way too hard at the pitch that when South Korea do look to break, Hunt's forced to commit the fouls and now goes into the book.
Well, they've got like an understanding as well at Tottenham where one will jump up, one can drop. And while that can work here, they just don't have that understanding at the moment between Heatley and Hunt. And it just feels that they're not... One jumps up and the other doesn't cover them.
Yeah.
Fowler. Trying to lift it into the box. It drops now for Ford, who should never have been allowed to get that ball. But it is one back by Korea. And Zhang carrying it forwards. Options to the left and right. Now only really the option to the left, but it is G, so it's not a bad option at all. She's forced all the way back, though, to the centre half. No Jin Young. And now it is with Kim. Into Ko-Use Jin. And back with Kim In-jung. Here's No. Kim again. 5 minutes left then of this first half. Will we see someone take the lead into the break? Well, it's Korea coming forwards now. Offside there up against Park, and she'll be frustrated by that one.
Yeah. That was just a bit sloppy. Didn't get back on side. And Australia have used it really well. That's not a great clearance at all.
Here's Caitlin Ford. Knocking it across the box. Cleared away a little haphazardly from Kim. Ford again. Carpenter. Now Gorey. Carpenter. And shielded brilliantly by Jang, who's dragged down. And a free kick here for South Korea. It's been a very combative performance from Australia. And that one again, just
it was
dragging Jang.
Yeah. Likely for Carpenter. Oh. I initially thought it was just a smack on the head. That angle, mate. I think it was just a smack. They're gonna get on with it. I think Carpenter's a little bit lucky because the last thing we do there is just catching her hair.
Yes, I think it's one of those where actually, if she had longer hair, that probably would have been given.
Yeah,
because it's not quite as visual for those like a shorter ponytail. It doesn't really look like a hair pull. But I think the benefit of the doubt given there, I don't think Carpenter had any intention there to grab her by the hair. You know, we've seen some pretty egregious ones in women's football in the last sort of season. Obviously, at the Euros, saw it with Hendrick.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was more she just came across and caught. Yeah.
We saw it as well in the WSL in the games between Chelsea and West Ham. Valumu just pulling Alyssa Thompson back by the hair. Nevin. Now Fowler. Knocks it back. Hunt. And now Kennedy. Somewhat clumsy with her control of that, but does keep the ball. Hunt. Fowler again, and that's blocked. And Korea trying to break away, well held up by Jeong. Runners in behind, but it doesn't quite come off there for Korea. It's picked off by Nevin. Australia are doing the Arsenal thing, where they've got their winger dropping into a left back, and their left back pushing up into attacking midfield. And I don't really see the benefit. Why not push the wingers inside and get the fullbacks hold the width?
Yeah.
Especially when you've got Nevin and Carpenter.
And you're putting Mary Fowler into that left back position, which is daft.
Heatley. Now to Hunt. South Korea just making it very difficult to play through them.
Yeah. There's been, I think Australia have had more of the ball since they scored. I think South Korea, though, understanding the situation and just thinking, right, we're 2 minutes away from half time. There's no need for them to be pushing at 100 miles an hour and potentially leaving themselves vulnerable. They'll be happy to sit in and try and get to half time at 1 goal apiece.
Ball into the channel. Fowler collects. Looking for some support. Ball in towards the back post, and Ford can't quite get there. Not sure many people were expecting that one. Zipped in by Caitlin Ford. Oh, by Mary Fowler, sorry. Caitlin Ford tried her best to get there. Just, taking that shot underneath the ball, really.
Yeah, I think Ford saw it late. It was absolutely smashed across there by Fowler. It's one of those where if you're in sync, that's a brilliant cross, and because it would be turned home, but Ford needs to be alert that that's going to happen and it's going to come in at that kind of speed.
It's one hell of an ask to get your leg up there as well.
Yeah.
Ball launched forward. Header one in there by Kennedy. Now Jang. Bit around the corner by G. Kennedy. Carpenter. Forced backwards. A27, welcome to the stream this morning, lads, and everyone in chat. Welcome, A27. He's joining us as we near half time here. Kennedy lifting it to the left-hand side. Fowler up against Kim. Takes it to the byline, looking for the cutback. Good defending from Kim. Goal kick again. She's been really good in this game, the right back, at being able to deal with players in wide areas and not only stop the balls into the box, but also knock it back into the attacking player to win themselves a goal kick.
Yeah, really good defending, backed up by really good officiating. And South Korea will look at this now. 6 minutes of added time. I have no idea where that's come from.
Well, Catley was down, and there was the goal, which had a short VAR check, but I don't think that amounts to 6 minutes.
The added time at this tournament has been absurd.
Well, some games have been warranted. I mean, we had a total of 22 minutes in the last Australia game because the Iran goalkeeper went down 4 times in the second half. I think about 4 minutes per interval.
I'll say Bangladesh. I think the time wasting is exactly the same. The Bangladesh game, in Matchweek 1, they really slowed it down, and that's fair enough.
Yeah,
but in this,
Milicic, the China manager, was not pleased at all with that, with the antics on display.
But in this game, both sides have moved the ball well. Yes, we've had an injury to Steph Catley, but it wasn't a lengthy one. The ball's been in play for quite a lot of the game. I'm really surprised. Yes, it's been 2 goals, but yeah, I'm really surprised that we've got 6 minutes because it just ruins the game because players get more tired.
Yeah,
especially if you're the team that are sitting a bit more defensive, it can open you up because you've got to hold on for an extra 6 minutes.
Hunt Wheeler back now to Heatley. As it stands, by the way, the Philippines lead Iran by a 0-0. Eggersvik with the goal in that game. And as it stands, they would put themselves in a place to qualify as a third place side. Unless Uzbekistan can improve their goal difference by 3, that would see them through to the next round. And obviously, Vietnam and Chinese Taipei in the perfect position, really, to qualify. Chinese Taipei winning that game by a 0-0 means that Vietnam and China Taipei both on 3 points apiece. Here's Ford coming forward, gets the shot away. It's blocked wide. Or is it? It's been given as a goal kick. And Ford there with little complaints, just seems frustrated with herself. Should do better again there, Caitlin Ford.
Yeah, again, it's scrappy. I'm not really sure how this manages to get through, but Australia managed to bumble it across the Ford, who, will be disappointed with the strike.
Target, really.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely should do better, and yet the Australia bench sharing the frustrations of their player, and now South Korea have got a player on the deck. I think it's the captain.
It's Ko Yus Jin, I think, who's down. Yes. And so she will require treatment. Just seemed to get caught up in that bit of a messy encounter as Australia came forwards. But yeah, I have to say, I think Australia are a little lucky to be fortunate, a little lucky to be coming into this half-time period level.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been particularly effective in front of goal, and without a fairly clumsy bit of defending on the corner from Korea, they probably wouldn't be level. So I think, you've got to caveat that despite the fact they're level, and that is important in the context of this game, they've been very wasteful. They've been quite poor in front of goal. 9 shots so far, 4 of which have been on target. But yeah, they've not been effective enough, and I think most of those on target shots have just been quite speculative. It does seem that Ko is all right to continue. Just have to come to the sideline, though. So Korea will just drop into a more defensive setup for the moment until she's allowed to re-enter the fray. And a Mexican wave here in Sydney. That's a geographical confusion.
Rubbish.
They're very lost.
Yeah.
Ball launch forwards. Kennedy wins it. Wheeler now sends it on to Kerr, who nods it towards Ford, who tries to get their one back well. In midfield by Jung, who will launch it forwards. Jung can't quite get under her control. Wheeler. Wide now. Into Nevin. Fowler. Gorey. Round the corner into Hunt. And now Kennedy. Lovely outside the boot pass into Carpenter, who looks to take on Jang. Cuts it back. Ford. It's another poor shot from Caitlin Ford. And she's directing her frustration at the referee there with a decision to award a goal kick. But I have to say, it just looks like another poor shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggle to understand what her argument is there. The player's nowhere near the vault.
Yeah.
It just, just nudges her in the back and puts her off and forces, that means she drags it wide.
Smart stuff from Junmin Young. It's just, it's a lovely bit of play there between Kennedy, who's quickly becoming Australia's best attacker at this tournament.
Yeah.
Carpenter holds it well. It's a great cutback, but Ford just messes up the shot. Here's Sam Kerr, and she rifles it home. A nice move forward from Australia. Ford carries it, slots it across to Kerr, and from a difficult angle, firing to the near post, and Australia take the lead. And as we were breaking down, a poor effort from Ford. That's a great assist. And Sam Kerr with an excellent finish. Australia 2, South Korea 1.
Really good drive from Caitlin Ford through the South Korea lines. There's too much space. They get caught way too hard at the pitch. Lays it into Kerr, who first time takes it really nicely, keeps it low and finds the bottom corner and beats the keeper. Uses the pace on the ball from Ford. South Korea will be frustrated. I think that there's a foul. Ford's got to be fouled there. There was an opportunity where I couldn't quite see it was for South Korea, but they backed out the challenge. I think you've just got to go for it. If you get the ball, you get the ball. If you take her out, you take her out at this point in the game. But no, they allow her to drive through way too easily, and Kerr is left unmarked to finish first time, and South Korea will be frustrated. And Australia, after a below par first half, are going to go into the break leading by at least one.
I said I'm fortunate to be level. I think they're incredibly fortunate to be leading this match, but ultimately decisive moments from Kerr and Kennedy making the difference as it stands. Carpenter moves it backwards and we tick in to that 7th additional minute now. The referee's whistle surely won't be delayed too much longer. Here's Hunt. Back now to Heatley. Hunt tries to find Kerr, picked off by Junmin Young. Pass inside now, looking for G. Jang. Lovely bit of skill there. Here's G. She switched the play. Goes back to Jung. And now it's all the way back in the defensive line, although that's the goalkeeper, Kim Min Young. South Korea don't seem to have much of urgency to get the ball forward here, despite the fact time is ticking away in this first half.
I think they're waiting for the whistle to go because I have no idea why we've played 8 minutes.
Cut out by Kennedy, and there is the half-time whistle. Here in Sydney, it's Australia 2, South Korea 1. South Korea took an early advantage with that breakaway goal. As Jeon Gyong broke in behind and squared the ball well into Moon Eun-ju. And well, they started to control the game from that point, but it was a messy corner turned home by Alana Kennedy, which saw Australia level. And despite some wastefulness in the front line from Australia, Sam Kerr with a tidy finish towards the near post to put Australia in the lead heading into half-time. It's Australia 2, South Korea 1.
Yeah, it's what the best sides do. They find ways to win games. They find ways to get themselves in front. And Australia lead after what wasn't a brilliant first half performance. And South Korea will be frustrated. As you say, they started well. They played some good stuff. Of course, Australia did miss chances and that let them off. But I think the first goal was really sloppy to concede. And for the second goal, I think they'll be very, very frustrated because I struggle to find an argument for 6 additional minutes there. And there was probably 2-3 added minutes there, and then suddenly we're in at half time 3 minutes before that goal could even go in. So I think South Korea will be frustrated with both goals that have been conceded in this 45 minutes. But for Australia, they'll be very happy because they're winning a game that they haven't been brilliant in. They've been okay and they've had chances, but they've wasted quite a few of them. And the goals that have gone in, the second goal was a good finish from Sanker, but the corner was very scrappy. I think that it's one of those where it's been a good game, but I think Australia are quite fortunate to be in front.
Yeah, and I think, Brain saying in the live chat, I just agree that Australia have been fortunate. Yes, Wales will have the more clear opportunities. But I think for both their goals, the goalkeeper's got to do better. I think even with the Kerr one, she just reacts too late. And I know Kerr takes it quickly, and that does make it difficult. But I think she's got to get down to that one. And the corner's got to be more assertive. It hits straight at her, and it seems to go through the goalkeeper in a sense. Doesn't really, make any attempt to claim the ball. And so, yeah, I think they have been somewhat fortunate because I don't think either of those goals were necessarily from them dominating. I think they've had a lot of the ball and a lot of chances from that. But what we've seen a lot more of is that they've struggled to create clear opportunities. Outside of those 2 goals, they've had 3 shots on target, and they were all fairly speculative efforts, apart from the gory one, where South Korea passed them the ball in their backline. So, yeah, I don't think Australia have been poor, but I think it's fair to say they're fortunate. I don't think they've been at their best, and so to be 2-1 up in this game, where they have been quite wasteful, I think is a fortunate position to be in.
Yeah, I think maybe the best way to put it is they're fortunate to be in front. I think on the complexion of the first half, 1-1 was probably a pretty fair result. South Korea were clinical and took their chance. Australia were wasteful, but did manage to put. I think I think they deserve. I think being level at half time was probably the fairest of results we could have got. So the fact they've nicked that goal so late in additional time as well is probably the bit where it's a little bit fortunate. I think South Korea will be very frustrated to concede that. But they do lead, and I think that's something they've got to look to kick on and use in the second 45. I thought that they didn't react well to going a goal behind, but once they managed to kind of push the ball across the line from that corner, they did kick on and they got better and better as the half went on. And I think that, with that second goal now, with the lead, they've got to look to try and get it across the line in the second half. They'll want to get another goal because at 2-1, South Korea are definitely in the game. But, I think that it's just for Australia. You can tell they've got a front 3 that are out of form and out of fitness. I think Caitlin Ford, is massively out of form and hasn't had a brilliant season, domestically. Sam Kerr is obviously still coming back from a major injury, still scoring goals though. So that does help. And obviously Mary Fowler as well, coming back from a very lengthy time on the sideline. So I think you can just tell, which is where that wastefulness comes from, is that you've got a front 3 that are out of form, out of fitness, and it's why Alana Kennedy has kind of turned into one of their better attackers.
Yeah, I think the other way I completely agree with your point. I think, well made. The other way I would look at it is that I think there is a real lack of creativity in this Australia team. And Mark saying, I think Hunt says Hunt and Wheeler have not been good. And I agree, particularly on Wheeler. I think that midfield 3, the composition doesn't work. You don't really have anyone in there that progresses the ball.
Yeah.
And Gory's a really good ball progressor, but usually from deeper positions. She's also a really good carrier, and we have seen that at times, to be fair. But it's something to carry it. But then when you're looking for those options to play it to, that final ball's been lacking from Katrina Gory. I think with Wheeler's a really good sort of utility midfielder. But when you don't have anyone that is more creative in there, if you're playing alongside Kennedy and Gory, you don't need someone in there that's going to be a bit of a disruptor and a sort of passive progressor at times. You need someone who is going to be quite active and involved in the attacking play. And I think the composition of midfield against Iran was perfect because what you had was a very aggressive pair of Van Egmond, who was able to be quite aggressive and quite jumpy in those more attacking areas. You had Kennedy as that deeper player in the pivot who would just shield the back line, but also be able to recycle the play quite well when she was stepping up into some high positions at times, especially with how high Australia were. And then you had Sayer. And what Sayer was doing really well was pulling into pockets, pulling wide, linking in wide areas, allowing the attacking players to have a little bit more freedom to drop out of position because she'd go and fill that role. And that fluidity made it really difficult for Iran to deal with the Australia attack. What we're seeing today, though, is it's quite a static midfield. It's quite a static front line. And we're going back to this Montemuro, very structured setup. And I think it's what we saw against the Philippines. Now, where they've perhaps had a little bit more joy is that the Philippines were much more organised defensively than South Korea are.
Yeah.
And the Philippines set up to be very slow, and they set up to just kill the game off. Whereas Korea are trying to play against Australia, as they as it should do. They're a side with the quality to do so. Australia have taken advantage. They've got fantastic players. They've taken advantage of those mistakes. But I do think the general play has been quite poor.
Mm.
I think it's a similar issue we saw against the Philippines. It is quite static. I think I think they need to get Amy Sayer on the pitch. I think she makes such a difference in terms of being able to be part of that creativity, to create opportunities in the final third. It just makes everything a little bit more fluid. So yeah, I think that would be my substitution. Get Sayer onto the field, probably take off Claire Wheeler. I think the centre backs, that's been quite interesting. I don't really see anything changing there though, unless they are worried about Hunt on that yellow card. But I just don't see them deciding to play Rule and Heatley. I think they need experience in there. You've already taken off Catley. Do you really want to put Kennedy in the back line? No. Probably not. So, yeah, for me, they've just got to back that Claire Hunt isn't going to do something stupid and get herself a second yellow card. But if they're in a couple of positions, sub her off and just don't take the risk. But I think they've got to stick with the partnership for now.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think, as you say, personally, I sit here and I think that it's a walking second yellow. The way that Australia have been caught in transition, but I think, as you say, you've got to trust the experience of Hunt. She has had a good season domestically. She's been really poor today. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not really sure where that's come from. I mean, again, it's that transitional element. Every time she stepped up, she seems to be getting it wrong and misjudging it. But they've just got to trust her that. A, she's going to start getting that decision right, but B, that if she's going to step up and get it wrong, she doesn't need to commit the foul. And maybe that's where the trust element comes of it, and that's what you get with international football, is that I think is that between the two of them, between Hunt and Heatley, they've got to trust each other to cover them. If Hunt steps up and gets it wrong, she's got to try, rather than committing the foul and picking up another card, she's got to trust that Heatley can back her up and deal with it, and vice versa, because Heatley's had the same thing. She stepped up and got it wrong. Difference was when she stepped up and got it wrong, South Korea punished and went on to score. But yeah, they've got to work together better. They don't seem to have each other's backs when that player does step up and they get caught way too hard at the pitch, and that is definitely something that Australia have got to look to remedy, because that's South Korea's biggest area that they can try and target is when one of those centre half steps up and gets it wrong.
Yeah, I think it's almost in direct contrast with the rest of the field, because what we've got with a lot of this Australia team is that they are very familiar with each other. It's a side who are all around the same age, but then you look at that back line and it's a lot of players who haven't played with each other lots.
Yeah.
And you can see there's not quite that partnership yet between the centre halves. There's not quite the understanding between the centre backs and their full backs. I think that's particularly prevalent since Catley's come off and Nevin's come on. That understanding, that relationship hasn't been developed yet, and that's why we're seeing a little bit more space, I think, in the back line. I think since the goal, though, South Korea did drop off quite defensive, and I think that has given Australia a little bit of a respite.
Yeah.
I think what I expect to see in the second half is that South Korea will be a little bit more aggressive, and that will open the game up. It's going to be interesting to see how Australia respond to that one. CD says Fowler's been good. Yeah, I think Fowler has in the limited moments she's got on the ball. I just don't think she's got enough touches, and I just don't think that it's not really worked with her on the left. It's not really worked with her on the right in terms of combining well. I think she was so good in the game against Iran because you had Sayer pulling wide and Fowler could come inside and they'd swap and they'd move around, and that again, that relationship and that fluidity and just understanding, I think, of each other was really strong, and it made it very difficult for Iran to mark everyone. We're not seeing that again today. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in the second half. Bray saying Sayer seems the obvious sub. John saying, John Basso welcome to the stream, says Cooney Cross not ready to play. So, unlikely that we're going to see her in this game. Despite that, though, Sork says bring on Michelle Heyman and Cooney Cross. And I says Iran 0, Philippines 1, the other game for those that care. Well, it is important, that one. That could see the Philippines through into the knockouts. You know how important the knockouts are, obviously, with qualification for the World Cup potentially on the line. And all the semi-finalists will get World Cup qualified. We'll get into the World Cup from this tournament. There is then a 5th, 6th playoff as well, because those two sides enter into qualifiers at a certain stage, I believe. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Obviously, that's a hugely important part of going towards that tournament in Brazil in 2027. We know that World Cup is the aspiration for so many teams at this tournament. It's a great way to qualify if you can do well in the Asian Cup and qualify without then having to play in qualifiers later in the year. That is a win-win, really.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a really good way of doing it, because it's big for everyone, for this tournament, for the teams and the players. It means that extra bit more, and you've got that extra bit to fight for, which is incredibly exciting. Exactly what we'll see as fans. I don't know many fans that enjoy watching qualifiers, so it's great to see that you can see your team qualify while watching them play at a tournament, play at a major tournament. Yeah, I really like that way of doing things, and I think that that extra element will spur some sides on, and it will make the difference. And I think that even if you're not going for glory, if you are a side like the Philippines, you're not going to win this tournament, but you think if we can get into those knockouts, the chance of qualifying the World Cup is probably bigger for them than if they were to reach the semi-final, if they were to reach the final and then lose. But I think the World Cup will be the biggest aim rather than this competition, rather than trying to win it. Of course, every side wants to win it, but to be at that World Cup for any of for some of these smaller nations would just be would be a magnificent feat for them. So yeah, I really like the way it's worked. I think that it's set up nicely, and yeah, it just provides an extra element of competition for those sides that aren't necessarily going to go on to win the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Philippines obviously were at the last World Cup in 2023, obviously hosted in Australia. And they'll be keen to go back to back if they can get through into the next round, into the quarterfinals. That would be really impressive for them. But yeah, it's a great opportunity to get into the World Cup. We know it's going to be a big tournament, and obviously the year after that, we'd expect to see a lot of AFC sides in it, because the number of teams is extending from 32 to 48. And so while there are some confederations where perhaps you'd have a doubt over the quality, I don't think there's such an issue that with the AFC. 6 teams will qualify automatically from Asia, and then there's going to be two more enter into the qualifiers. And we're thinking about that, 5 of those 6 teams are going to be Australia, Japan, South Korea, North Korea, and China. And they're all sides are ready to compete at the top level. You've then got Vietnam, who are quite promising. You've got Philippines, who I think are very promising. And if they play the way they did against Australia in this opening day of game of this tournament, they can frustrate certain teams. So there are teams that are ready to compete at that level, and I think it's great that we're starting to see that become a thing. I mean, Chinese Taipei as well. They've already picked up 3 points in this tournament. They've got a favourable game against India in that last match. If they could finish second, that'd be huge for them. So, yeah, we're very interested to see what happens. But changes coming then for South Korea. It's a double change, I believe, in either midfield or back line. I believe it is in midfield. So the midfielder, Jun Min Young, has been taken off, as has Cho Yu Ri. They've been replaced by Kang Chae Rim and Jim Shin-ji. So we'll work out where Kim and Kang are playing there. One in midfield, one on the right wing. A South Korea player to get us back underway here in Sydney. Australia leading by 2-1. Can South Korea mount a comeback, or will Australia top the group in style and see themselves seeding as a group winner in the quarterfinals? Referee blows a whistle. It's not back by G, and we're back underway in this contest. Here is Kim. Knocks it back to Ko Yu Jin. Surveying her forward options. Want to move it to the left. That's not quite on. Plays it forward though. And Mun Yunju on hand to knock it back. Jang inside, knocked round the corner well there by Kim Shin-ji. And a throw-in one now for Korea on the left-hand side. And here's Ji So-young. Ji forced backwards. No, all the way back to Kim Min-jung. Gives it back to No. Just lifting it there in behind. A good header away though from Heatley, and Australia getting their first taste of possession in this second half. Carpenter. Back to Heatley. Now Arnold. It's the left-hand side. Hunt under pressure and Forstons knocking that off the pitch. Fantastic press there from Mun. And Korea forcing another mistake out of Hunt. What can they do? Played through well there by Kang. And that's lovely from G. Ball in from Mun. And it's dealt with well by Wheeler and claimed well by Arnold.
Yeah. Again, better, well defended from Australia. Dealt with that. But South Korea looking to start well. Looking to get themselves back in this game early doors. They'll want to try and level up this contest as quickly as possible and try and turn this game around.
Gory. Now Heatley spreading the play. Here's Carpenter. Looks to knock it down the line. Good defending again there from Park, who came across and made the challenge. Kennedy. Carpenter knocks it inside to Wheeler. And now Heatley. Carpenter. Kennedy. Wheeler knocks it back into Hunt. Kennedy. Looking now to switch the play. And a good header away from Kim there. Knocking it down the line here for Kang. One back brilliantly. Initially by Gory, losing possession, but it's launched away by Korea. And back to possession of Australia. Arnold. Heatley. Now Kennedy splitting the centre halves. Knocks it across into Claire Hunt. Wide to Nevin, who looks down the touchline into Fowler. He tries to receive the ball to feet, but it's knocked out of play. And it's deemed to have come off Kim in there. Australia throwing on this near side for Nevin. And Nevin tried there to be quite smart and get that about 5 yards up the line. Referee, though, not going to allow it. Hunt across to Heatley. Carpenter down the line. Here's Ford. Back now to Heatley. He's going to launch it long. Assertive header again there from Jiang. One back. And now here come Korea. Kim carrying the ball forwards. Still going here. Kang takes aim. A good stop there. Lovely move from Korea. And Kang, Che Rim, forcing a good stop out of Arnold.
Yeah, I think they are going to look at this. It looked like it flicked up and hit her on the arm.
Yeah,
it did. That's a penalty.
It may well be a penalty for South Korea. The shot hitting the arm there of Courtney Nevin. Don't really see any way this isn't given.
Yeah, nice, yeah.
Possible penalty then for South Korea.
Just glances off it's high. It's really silly. It deflects the ball towards Arnold to make the save. I don't see a world where this isn't given. And it's exactly what South Korea need to do. And Australia, it's just, I think this would sum up how it's been for them defensively. It has just been a little bit error-strewn.
Well, Nevin looks like a player there who knows it's hit her arm.
Yeah, 100%.
They are still checking this, and she is headed over to the monitor, then the referee. And once they do that, there's usually only one decision. So Yoshimi Yamashita, the Japanese referee, across to have a look. I think she's only going to need one look at this.
Yeah.
It quite clearly hits her arm. It changed the direction of the shot. It doesn't hit her body on the way through. It's a clear strike of the arm. It's going to be a penalty, you would think. And, well, it is a quick decision from Yoshimi Yamashita. What has she come to? The verdict is a penalty for South Korea. Courtney Nevin, and you can see a look of dejection on her face. Just there, striking her arm, the shot from Kang Chae Rim, and it is going to be a penalty now for South Korea. And to step up, is it going to be the substitute or is this a ruse from Kim Shin-ji? I think it is going to be Kim Shin-ji to take this.
Wow.
So off the bench then, replaced Jun Min-young at half-time. And now with a penalty to draw South Korea level in this last group game.
Practically her first touch of the game.
Yeah. Can she settle the nerves and slot this one home? Arnold between the sticks. Got to make herself big here. Got to make life difficult for Kim. Kim Shin-ji from 12 yards. Shuffles to left. Steps up and slots it home. No mistake there from the substitute who buries that well. And draws South Korea level in this game. A tidy penalty there from Kim Shin-ji, who didn't seem to be fazed by the occasion. And a sea of red explodes with joy there as Korea draw level. It's Australia 2, South Korea 2.
Brilliant penalty. Exactly what you need to do. Took her time after the whistle, was decisive about where she wanted to put it. Sent Arnold the wrong way and levels this game up once again. And South Korea, well, they have been incredibly clinical with the chances that have come their way. And they are punishing Australian mistakes. And Nevin, yeah, it's just clumsy to have her arm up there to concede the penalty.
Yeah.
And this game on once again. What a match this has been so far. Really looking to see what's going to happen. Really looking forward to see what's going to happen in the next 38 minutes.
Ball into the area, not fully dealt with there. Fowler now, can she get the shot away? It's blocked wide. And Kim tries to jump on it, but it's already ran out of play. A corner now for Australia.
Yeah, looking for that instant response. Australia, and again, it's not dealt with by South Korea. Their box defending has been a little bit sloppy today. And I think that will be a point of frustration for them. Something they want to make sure they can prevent going forwards in the tournament. And again, this could be tested here with this corner.
So yeah, Mary Fowler to deliver this ball. Lifts it in towards the penalty spot. Not really dealt with. Shot now from Gorey into a crowd of bodies. Doesn't come to much. That too assertive from Claire Hunt. She's got to be careful on a card going in like that. Only a free kick though for South Korea. Ryzen asks, do you expect the final to be Australia versus Japan, or is there someone else you see making it there? I could see any of 5 teams making it. I could see either of these two sides, Australia or South Korea. I could see China. I could see North Korea. And I could see Japan. I think, though, yeah, those quarterfinals will be big. Whoever finishes second here will feed into whoever finishes second in Group B, which will either be China or North Korea. Now, that will be one hell of a quarterfinal tie. So that, for me, will be a big one. But yeah, I think I could absolutely see any of those 5 sides getting to the final. I think they've all got the quality. If there was going to be an upset, possibly Chinese Taipei. I mean, the fact they were able to get a result against Vietnam was really impressive yesterday. I think they'll beat India. And if Vietnam pulled off a miracle against Japan, they're going to have top in that group.
Yeah.
And we could have both Australia and Japan on the other side of the draw. Hunt. Now Heatley into Carpenter. Ball knocked down the line. Ford carries inside dangerously. I think it would take something quite incredible to break Japan's goal difference, though.
That is true.
They would need to lose 6-0 and Chinese Taipei win 5-0. Which I just don't think is going to happen for some reason.
No, I don't see that happening.
Ball played forwards. Chance now. Here's Jung. Can she get a shot away? Trying to take on Wheatley. Blocked well by Arnold. And now another shot from Rangers blocked. Here is Kim Shin-ji. Looping it in there. Will drop at the back post for Kang. Can she get the shot away through the bodies? It's in the bottom corner. And Kang, who created the penalty with that strike, buries it in the far corner. Korea rejoice once again And their hard work and effort to get back in this game pay dividends. It's Australia 2, South Korea 3.
What a game this is turning out to be. Brilliance from South Korea once again. They come forwards with numbers. They work it well after the initial shot is saved by Arnold. And Australia just don't react at all. It's such passive defending from Australia. The ball across the box is brilliant. And again, Nevin here doesn't do enough, doesn't get close enough to her, and allows the shot to go across goal. Might even take a nick off Nevin's leg, which is enough to take it past Arnold, who also should do better. And again, Australia are punished for a piece of poor defending. All 3 goals have not been good enough. They've been caught out, and that shot really should be stopped by both Nevin and Arnold, but South Korea will not care, and they've turned this game on its head.
Absolutely, and if you want an example of how a double change at half-time can make all the difference, look no further than this game. Goals from both the substitutes, and of course created by both the substitutes as well. Shinji with the ball, Kim Shinji with the ball across, Kang Chae-rim finishing it off to take the lead. The equalizer came after Kang Chae-rim created the penalty, finished by Kim Shin-ji. Fantastic double change. Huge credit to Shin Sang-woo for making that and, turning this game on its head so quickly. What have Australia got as a response? What an incredible match, though, in this Women's Asian Cup.
Australia need to settle. They're all over the place defensively at the moment. Nevin has had a really bad 12 minutes, let's be honest. Gave away the penalty and really should have dealt with that shot better. They just need to settle in. Couple of players running around at 100 miles an hour at the moment, and they just need to get a foot on the ball and settle down again. But wow.
Gee, spreading the play. Here come Korea. Choi cuts inside, takes aim. And this a more comfortable claim for Mackenzie Arnold.
There's so much space for South Korea to use. And again, it's too easy to allow South Korea to cut inside there. But Arnold does well. Very straight shot. Quite an easy claim. But another chance for South Korea to extend their lead. Absolutely incredible. South Korea leading. Australia turning it around. Going to half-time 2-1 up, and after 13 minutes in the second half, South Korea have gone and put themselves back in front.
But it's just been ruthless in front of goal from Korea. 7 shots, 5 on target.
Brilliant.
Contrast that with Australia's 14 shots, but only 6 on target. In terms of accuracy, in terms of clinicality, they've been so strong in front of goal. Really impressive stuff from South Korea. Despite the fact Australia have had more of the possession with 56%. Again, that's fairly marginal considering how ball dominant they've been in some of these other games.
Yeah.
But they've had more of the possession. They haven't really made that work. They've had more shots, but they've not really threatened the goal in the same way. And both the goals they did score came in somewhat fortuitous circumstances. But yeah, they've been direct, South Korea. Ball long, looking for Kerr. That really should have been dealt with better. A little fortunate there from No Jim Young. Just heading it down to Kerr. Gets away with it though, as Kerr can't adjust her feet quick enough. Mooney and Ju. Now back with G. Here's Jang. Just slowing the game down, South Korea. No reason for them not to. We tick towards the hour mark. They did this after they took the lead early on, though. And we saw Australia start to come back into the game after that. Ball slipped in behind, though. They're going to keep the pace up. Here's John. Needing some support now. Goes back to Cho. Wants to carry it inside. One back in there by Ford, who launches it fairly aimlessly up the line. There's no pressure now on the ball.
She worked so hard to get back in and win it back, just to kick it straight back to South Korea.
Yeah. She looked to play it to herself.
Yeah.
Kim Shin-ji looking for the forward pass. That's cut out. What can Australia do now? Kennedy to the left-hand side. Nevin dispossessed again by Kang, who's been everywhere since she's come on. Not able to hold on to possession, though. Launched forwards by Alana Kennedy, that diagonal. Not coming to much as Jang was trying to see it out. Ends up hooking it out of play. I think she could have been a bit smarter about that one.
Yeah, I think she was just looking to hook it out of play and maybe get a little nick off the on-rushing Ford. But again, that is such a poor throw from Australia, and they're gifting possession to South Korea at the moment.
And here comes South Korea down the left-hand side. Chowie forced backwards. Here's Jang. It's with Jang again. Goes down the line. Park. Inside to Shinji. Kim Shinji. Now Ko. Knocks it wide. Kang getting on the ball again. Plays it inside. Kim Shinji. Mun back to Kim. Wide now. With Kim the fullback. And that's blocked by Fowler and out for a South Korea corner.
Yeah, similar to the first half when they went 1-0 down, there's no initial reaction from Australia. And although they did get back in the game eventually in the first half, the difference is South Korea are keeping the pressure on now. And Australia are just not rising to the challenge. And if they're not careful, they're going to find themselves 2 goals behind in a minute. This is really good stuff from South Korea. And yeah, the Matildas just aren't, they're not raising their game to the same level.
Absolutely. So, South Korea's first corner of the game. What can they make happen? They play it short. It's a quick routine. Here is Kang. Plays it along the floor. It's cleared away by Nevin. Another corner to follow.
Again, it's exactly what South Korea want to do. They just keep having corners for 28 minutes, they win the game.
They could just play out that exact scenario over and over again. Then in 30 minutes' time, they'll be through as the top seed.
Yeah. But again, this is good. They're varying it up as well. They go short, and now they're lining up a train of 5 in the middle. Oh, they've gone short again. Dummy.
Kim Shin-ji lifting it towards the back post. It's a great ball. Header blocked. Excellent work from Hunt getting back in there. And I think the offside flag's gone up. Or was she just off the pitch there? I'm not sure on the captain Ko. Either way, Montemuro isn't happy with how Australia are playing. And is now on the touchline.
What a ball that was, though, to hook it towards the back post. Very unfortunately, it didn't come to anything for South Korea.
I mean, what a change it's been to get Kim Shin-ji onto this pitch. I questioned initially because I think Jung had a really good first half in terms of being combative in midfield and feeding G with the ball, but they've just brought on someone equally combative with an excellent passing range. It's just opened the play even more. Influential in both goals. Very strong stuff. Here's Fowler. Knocks it inside. Australia trying to reply. Gorey goes backwards. Kennedy now poking it to Hunt. And back to Kennedy. Kang jumping up. Forcing it to Nevin. Who goes down the line. Fowler now has the space. Ball delivered in there. Thumped away. Is it a throw or a corner in this? For Australia, I believe it is a throw. Right in the corner there.
Again, that's more convincing box defending. Probably could have been a bit more useful with it, but it's out. That's the main thing.
Throw in now then for Nevin. Headed on by Kerr. Now Wheeler. Kerr. Ball across looking for Ford. Header one. Now Ford. Needs a support. Carpenter. Ball across the box, and that's blocked well, and it will be a goal kick. Doesn't seem to have taken a touch, actually. Jay Perrin says, why was her arm outstretched to give them a penalty, and why was the score of the third goal completely unmarked? Great questions all round, Joe. A difficult spell for Nevin. It's a bit of a shame. Was just really impressive in the game against Iran, but 2 big mistakes there. And yeah, I mean, there's no one else you can blame on the penalty. On the second goal, there's definitely others. You know, no one deals with the initial ball. No one reacts. And then, I think Arnold's got to save it. I think it's a really savable position for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's a ridiculously tight angle for the ball to be cut across the box, cut across the face of goal like that, and go roll into the far side netting. As a goalkeeper, you're going to be disappointed that's managed to get through. And even as a defender, you'd probably be disappointed you couldn't try and jump on it.
Yeah, ball into the area, headed away well.
But they're still not reacted, Australia.
No. Coming forwards now, Korea. The ball spread to Kang Chae Rim, who's competing for it. One back in there well, though, by Hunt.
Kang was disappointed her first touch let her down there because Hunt was in a difficult position where if the challenge wasn't on, she couldn't make it. But the heavy touch allowed her to come in and take the ball pretty easily.
Kang Jae-rim has supporting options. Goes back now into Kim. Down the line. Kim. Kang. Mun lifting it into the box and lifting it over. Her attacking teammates. How's her up to the strings? Let's go, Korea. Yeah, it's been a super impressive performance from Korea. 3 goals scored in every game so far. Well, they have ruined their record of clean sheets at this tournament with 2 goals conceded. It would be 9 points taken from possible 9 in the group stage.
But this is what we wanted to see, and this is what we spoke about with the pressure being off, is that this could have been a cagey 1-0 win for either side, but because both sides already confirmed through that the shackles are off, they can just go out and play. That's exactly what they've done, and South Korea have managed to turn that into what at the moment is a winning position.
Indeed, Australia then building out from the back again. Hunt. Now Nevin. Into Fowler. Back inside to Katrina Gorey. Wide to Wheeler. Heatley. Ball down the line from Carpenter. Knocked out of play. Well, choosing the safe option there, no. And out for a throw. Surely Australia turns to their bench. We've got 23 minutes to play. Australia have made 1 change, and that came in around the 20th minute, I think. They've got to look at their bench. They've got options. You know, could they turn to an Amy Sayer or a Hayley Raso?
Yeah, I mean, Claire Wheeler again. That's another really poor pass, and it's been a below par performance from her.
A Heyman, a McNamara, players who've all come on in this tournament. Van Egmond, who was important for them in the opening 2 matches. They've got options.
I'm surprised. There's been a lack of reaction from the players on the pitch, but there's also been a lack of reaction from Montemurro. You know, he's got a sense that they are up against it at the moment. And they need energy. They need changes.
Ball in. Comfortable claim again there for Kim Min-jung. Is it a case of what do you change first? There's so many areas of this team for Australia that haven't worked today. But I think it's quite easy, you know, to get Amy Sayer on there and they'll look better. At the very least. With a bit more creativity. Korea coming forwards. Across now to Kang Jae-rim. Can she get another shot away? Kennedy narrows the angle. A shot low. And that's better. It was Nevin, who narrowed the angle. Good defending there from Courtney Nevin. Just stood off too much for the other 2 shots that both led to goals. But was quick to get on to Kang there. Yeah,
really good defending. And just forced the shot to be a bit tamer and a tighter angle than it was originally. But the thing for Montemurro and Australia is that with that chance showing there, if the changes and reaction don't come soon, it's going to get to the point where it'll be too late and they could be 2 or 3 goals down.
And while we're speaking about Australian substitutions, it's Korea who are actually readying one the next time the ball goes out. Coming to the right-hand side now. Kim inside to G. Knocked forwards, looking for Kim Shin-ji. Can't quite get to that ball. Here's Kim again. Goes down the line. Here's Kang. Plays it inside. Bounces it off of Jeon. Kim lifts it in behind. I think Jeon's gone too early there. And the line-out very confident in her opinion. Putting that flag up immediately.
Yeah. There's a change coming for Australia. Changes for both sides then.
Indeed. So, it looks like a change to the back line. It is going to be Amy Sayer on for Australia, recognising the same issues we have there. Jo Montemurro, the first change though, is for Korea, and it is Ji So-young coming off the field. What a performance from Ji. Great to see her playing football. It's been a while. She's been replaced by Jin Hui. Or Jin Hui. As for Australia, Amy Sayer onto the field then. What can she make happen? Claire Wheeler, the player that's come on.
Yeah.
We've been calling for that for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
what impact can she have at the end of this match. Ball down the line, looking for Saya. Picked off, though. Heatley unable to complete that pass. Kennedy. Forced backwards now to Heatley. And it's Hunt. Trying to go more direct. That's ambitious. Carpenter busts a gut to get there. Good challenge, though. And it's given us a goal kick. Really intelligent play from Jang. And Carpenter's frustrated, but I think Jang's nailed that there.
Yeah, I'd like another. Yeah, I don't think it didn't look like it deviated from its path or, therefore not taking a touch. This would be a good angle of it. Yeah, no, I don't think
it comes back off Carpenter.
Potentially.
But yeah. And Carpenter not...
Got to be careful.
Yeah. Not leaving any disguise on her thoughts. Kennedy doesn't quite win the header and it bounces out of play. Carpenter unable to regain possession. Brian says that Birmingham stint was a clever move for her. Yeah, hasn't she? She's gone back to she's gone to Korea now, hasn't she? She was at Seattle Rain, had that loan at Birmingham. I think she's now back. I want to say with FC Seoul. I'm not 100% sure.
What a player.
Ball launched forwards. Couple playing from Arnold. Absolutely. Incredible footballer.
But also, it's what I love about international football, when you get those players who were, in their prime, were brilliant at OSL, and then you get to international tournaments and you get to see them pop up once again and still got all the quality that they had when they were playing in Europe or playing at the peak of their career for the best teams.
Indeed. Forward now. Osea lifting it in there, headed away. Gory. Wide into Nevin, who loops it in there. Fowler on the edge of the box, trying to create space for the shot. Lays it to Kennedy, who takes aim. And, well, I know she's got a taste for goals, but that one, a wayward effort.
Yeah, that was more the defensive midfielder version of Alana Kennedy rather than the forward version of Alana Kennedy that we've seen in already today and in the Iran game. But suddenly, that clock has ran away. With only 16, 17 minutes to play now. South Korea have done a brilliant job of just keeping the ball where they need to and running the clock down.
Absolutely. And if you are enjoying our coverage of this game as well, make sure to leave a like. 85 people watching right now, only 29 likes. Let's try and get that to 40. So if you haven't left a like yet, make sure to do so. And if you are new to the channel and haven't yet hit subscribe, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going for 10k before the end of the WSL season. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Australia coming forwards now. Nevin. Inside to Saya, knocks it back. Hunt. Across to Heatley. Options to the right-hand side. Shifts it inside towards Ford. Great challenge there from Kim Shin-ji. And Korea looking to break again now on the left-hand side. Park knocks it down the line. Heatley knocking out of play, but a Korea throw-in on the far side.
Again, Korea doing exactly what they need to do. They're being positive. They're moving the ball forwards, making it difficult for Australia and just taking time out of the game.
Yeah, really intelligent stuff from Korea. Great game management, great performance. Jiang knocks it into Jion, who battles away for it with Gory. Gory does really well to hold on to the ball, and now Australia will build out from the back. Hunt to Nevin. Saya dropping into this wide position to try and receive. Now with Hunt. Picked off there, poor pass. And here come Korea. Jion. Back to Kim Shin-ji. Back inside to Park. Could have put that ball in the box there. But to be fair, at this stage of the game, you don't want to take too much risk. You can afford to just slow this game down. Jiang. Kim Shin-ji. Lovely ball over the top. Jion looking to cut it back. Heatley does enough. Coming across, though, to try and get involved is Kang. Doesn't come to much. It's cleared away. Only as far, though, as Park, who looks to keep this move alive to the right-hand side now. With Jin Hui. Ball in towards the front post. That a foul from Hunt. Well, VAR will have a look. Not many complaints, though, from Korea. I don't think there was too much wrong with it. It just looked clumsy. Coming forwards now again. Jiang.
South Korea doing all this with their striker down on the floor with an injury still in the penalty area.
And not just out of play there.
Now back to their feet.
Just as Mum was getting back to her feet.
Oh, they've got to talk. People have got to communicate there. And she's now going to go down. Is it just cramp? Yes. Okay. Well, that felt like... I don't think I've really seen a player stay down injured.
I think she overstretched it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it just seems to be cramp.
But again, South Korea, what they've done really well is that when there's been a couple of times, and this was a really good example of it, when they turned the ball over half the pitch, but they were outnumbered. They turned it over, but there was only 2 forwards up against 4 or 5 defenders. And they've done really well to just keep it hold of it, even when they're outnumbered, and allow people to get forwards. And then when they do, they catch Australia out. And it's too passive from Australia to allow South Korea to just hold on to the ball. They've recycled it superbly today.
Absolutely. Really, really impressive performance from South Korea. Big goal as well in the other game in Group A. It's Iran 0, Philippines 2.
Wow.
And that should see them through into the next round. It'll give them a really strong position. That means they should see this game out now with the 3 points. With a -2 goal difference, it means Uzbekistan would need to make up a 4 goal differential. Or Bangladesh have to make up a 5 goal differential when those 2 sides meet tomorrow. So a change now for Korea, and it is Jun, who just seems to be struggling with cramp, to be replaced by Casey.
I would guess a defense. Is it a defensive change or a bit of a shift around?
So yeah, Casey Fair coming on. Seems to be going into midfield. Though I think Mun, who's almost been playing as a... I don't know what they're doing. I think it might be a 5-back now. But yeah. Headed forwards. Mun, who's been playing almost as a second striker. Casey Fair has gone up front.
Yeah.
Here is Mun. Now Kim Shin-ji. The 5-back happened a moment ago, didn't it, when they brought on Kim Jin Hui onto this right wing back position, and Kim Hai Rai has just gone in as the right centre half.
Yeah. Oh, it's like when you get unconventional numbers leading the line, a number 6 up front.
Yeah. If she scores an overhead kick, it will look right.
That is true.
Double change coming as well for Australia. Van Egmond, one of the 2. Didn't quite see the other. Here's Casey Fair. Holds the ball up well. She needs to take it to the corner. To be fair, still 10 minutes to play. Kim, ball in. Cleared away. Only as far, though. The edge of the box, but Fowler now can utilise it. Ford. Carpenter overlapping. Looks to find her with the pass. Great tackle there from Jiang. Carpenter wants to take the throw in quickly. Doesn't really have any options. Throws it now into Kennedy, who's getting up in support. Lifts it into the box. Can Kerr get there? She tries her best. Really good claim, though, from Kim. And a foul there on the goalkeeper and a defender from Sam Kerr.
I'm not too quite sure what's wrong with the goalkeeper here. But Kerr definitely fouled the defender, and the referee played the advantage because the goalkeeper caught the ball and the goalkeeper fell over.
I think there the goalkeeper has been watching too much Iran.
Yes. Did she get a nudge here? Oh, to be fair, she did get... Also, Kerr did end up pushing the goalkeeper. Pushing her teammate into the goalkeeper.
Yeah. All a little bit messy in there. Kerr's not happy.
No. Understand. And I think Australia are feeling the frustration. And suddenly, there's only 10 minutes left in this game. I mean, I'm sure we'll get another 10 added on, knowing how this tournament's gone so far, but
there's been barely any stoppages in the second half, apart from the goals.
Mm.
And the VAR check for the penalty, I guess. They'll probably factor in 2 minutes there. But
the subs,
yeah.
They'll find a way to get it 8 or 9.
Yeah. And gory. A game like this, they don't mind a bit of extra time. At the time, let's just keep playing on. So I think Cooney Cross the other change as well.
Yeah.
It's just great to see her being able to get involved heading into those knockout ties. Heatley plays it forwards. And our connection just having an issue there as it was such a great pass. Carpenter. Now Kennedy. Gorey. Heatley carries it forwards. Carpenter now lifts it in towards the back post. Kennedy competing for it. Can't quite add to her tally for the tournament. And the ball now cleared away. Out to it well is Arnold. Looking to relaunch the Australia attack. Heatley. Switching the focus to Katrina Gorey. And now Fowler. Hunt. Into Kennedy. Back across now to Heatley. Hunt. Kennedy. Trying to find Carpenter. It's cut out again well by Jiang. Forward to Kerr, who's dropped to receive it. Sayer lifting it over the top. Great ball from Sayer. Carpenter gets a touch. And it is out for a goal kick. And Carpenter, well, I think she may be booked for shouting at the ref like that. Either that or she directed that at a teammate. Maybe the referee just letting her off there. But
I think she's starting to get frustrated.
the double change now coming for Australia then. Van Egmond into the midfield. As will be Kyra Cooney Cross. Well, actually, they're taking off a defender here. Montemuro is going for the game. And that is going to be Heatley and Gorey making way for Van Egmond and Cooney Cross.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen a reaction from Australia or the bench for a while. And now they're really going for it, which is exactly what they've got to do because they've only got 6.5 minutes left of this game, plus added time. And I want to get at least a draw here.
Indeed. Kennedy trying to be assertive in there. Casey Fair knocks it down the line. One back well. Cooney Cross will carry it forwards. Nevin to Fowler. Just a back two now for Australia. The ball trickles through as Kerr on side here. Needs some support. Back to Van Egmond who lifts it well over the bar. I don't think Australia realise that they need 2 goals here.
Yeah.
Like, these changes have come way too late. They've got 6 minutes to grab 2.
Yeah.
Even 1 goal. Yes, it puts them on 7 points. Looks a little more respectable, but it doesn't change where they finish.
Yeah.
South Korea would be through on goal difference. Goal kick now for South Korea. Just seems to be too little too late from Australia. I think the changes there are the right ones.
Yeah. They didn't react. You know, South Korea had made 4 changes by the time Australia had only made 1.
Hmm.
And I think that ends up just cancelling out the Australia changes because South Korea aren't tiring.
Fowler trying to come inside. Strong in there from Kim Shin-ji. Knocked down the line now. Here's Ford. Options ahead of her. Slips it inside to Fowler, who just managed to squeeze the pass wide into Ellie Carpenter. Needs some support now, Carpenter. Can she get this cross into the box? Tries to go down the line. Brilliant again from Jiang. Out for a throw-in. Right in this corner.
Brilliant piece of defending.
Ball looped in. Headed away with that issue by Kim Shin-ji. Hunt. Kennedy. And there's a bit of a messy exchange. Van Egmond now drilling it through, and that's fantastic from Coe and the offside flag up on Sam Kerr to boot. Brilliant, though, from the captain, Coe, to get in front of that one.
Yeah. She's none the wiser that the flag's going to go up and has to make the intervention. And that is superb. Incredible piece of defending.
Yeah, they held their line well.
Yeah.
Sam Kerr was offside. Shows us so many shots over the bar. Yeah, it's been wasteful. It's been so wasteful from Australia. And Jeremy says a loss will upset the Matilda fans. Of course it will.
So massive attendance, which is great to see, but I'm not sure many of them will be happy with what they've seen so far.
There's a pocket, though, of that vibrant red support who've been loving this game.
Yeah, they've come in their numbers, South Korea, and they are watching their side. They are now 4 minutes away from completing the perfect group stage.
Yes. But they will seed on the same side as Japan, who everyone is terrified of.
But I think at the end of the day, you don't win international tournaments if you fear teams. You have to back yourself in every single game against every single opposition.
Yeah, of course. And it gives them a naturally easier game in the quarterfinal stage.
Yes.
You would expect they'll play, I believe, a third place side.
Mm.
I think it's third place from B or C. So as it stands, that would be a game against Vietnam. Whereas Australia will face either China or North Korea.
It'd be great if someone's sort of sitting on the buttons at the AFC.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thing is. I don't know if it's R-Y.
It's not.
Oh. AFC having a mare.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So are Australia at the moment. Maybe that's why they're doing it.
So we unplug this. No one has to watch Australia on home turf. Yeah. AFC just all over the place at the moment. Found it. Back to Kennedy. Found on the left-hand side. Ball floated towards the back post. Ford tries to get there. But that is out of play for a goal kick now for South Korea.
Yeah. And they're running out of time, the Matildas. This has been a brilliant second half display from South Korea. Australia really haven't hurt them.
Especially as they need two, Australia.
Yeah.
Like, even an 8-minute added time here, it'd be difficult to envision them scoring twice.
That's fine. They might add on 12 or something. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work to do for Australia. They did well to navigate the opening two games against weaker opposition, but this will be a bit of a wake-up call. If they do want to take the trophy home this tournament, they're going to have to find a way to win these kind of games.
Ball out of play. Australia throwing on the far side. Ford to Van Egmond. Back to Caitlin Ford. And now Carpenter. Van Egmond. Ford. Lifts it forwards. Carpenter now. Puts in the box. Kerr battling away. Is there a call for a penalty in there? The Matildas fans and players are adamant. Unfortunately, again, it went a bit janky, so we didn't get a clear read on that, but it looked a little bit messy. Crucially, though, Kerr seemed to be the least adamant player.
Yeah, true.
Casey Fair held the ball up well. One back, though. Strong from Cooney cross in there. Ball looped forwards. Van Egmond heads across, headed away. And then cleared well by Korea. Now we're going to get some information on additional time soon. We would hope so. A change forthcoming now. For whom? And it's going to be Korea to make another substitution. That's going to be a change in the defensive line, I believe. Yeah, that's no Jin Young coming off. 7 minutes of additional time. That is a fair whack. But is it enough for Australia to score twice?
Yeah, of course it is.
Meanwhile, coming on.
But is it going to happen? Probably not.
And a nice salute there as Jin Young leaves the field. So, throwing on the far side. Carpenter, Ford. Carpenter again. Gorey. Van Egmond. To the left-hand side with Fowler. Tries to drive inside with the ball. Lifting it in. It's cleared away. And Korea will look to break. Ball slip forwards. Casey Fair trying to hold it up. One back in there by Hunt. Sayer. Carries it forwards. It's clipped in there. Not enough for a foul though. Here come Korea. Kim taking it to the corner via South Van Egmond. Nevin just trying to flatten her, really. Trying to get this ball back. Sayer comes back in. And smart stuff from Kim there, knocking it out of play.
Yeah, just run the clock down. That's good. Taking an extra 30 seconds out of the game. Well, Nevin has been allowed a lot of lenience where she's taken this throw in from.
Yeah.
She's actually gone past the 10-yard marker for the corner. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Shit, at that point in the line, it's got to flag it.
Yeah.
Foul there on Sayer. Calls for a card. She should go in the book for calling for that, but I think she'll get away with it. One of the most stupid rules in football.
Should have a conversation instead. 4 minutes then for Australia to at least find a leveller, but South Korea's defence are dealing brilliantly with these long balls forwards.
Catson says to be a devastating home loss for the Tillies. Yeah, 4 minutes to go. Less than 4 minutes to go. Really struggling. Hunt heads it away. Cove. Now Kim knocks it down the line. Kang. That's Casey Fair in support. Kang's still coming though. I'm back. A little too easy there from Hunt. Fair comes across. Tries to make life difficult. Ball pass now and kept alive by Van Egmond, who bails out Claire Hunt. And Carpenter with the room to carry this ball into. Knocks it into Fowler. Into Ford. He'll drive inside. Now Nevin. Lifts it in the box. Header towards goal. What a save. Phenomenal from Kim Min Jung. Scurries across her goal and parries it wide.
Brilliant stop. It's a great ball in for Nevin. Right on the money. And the header towards goal from Van Egmond in there. Just does enough to flick it towards the far corner. And that's a superb save.
Corner then for Australia. Mary Fowler. That's
poor.
Cleared away. Nevin will look to keep it alive here. Carpenter. Ball forwards. Not dealt with there by the wing back. Clips it in on top of the goal. No issues there for Kim. 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, not where you want Sam Kerr, really. You want her to be one in the box trying to put the ball home. But what a save that is. Looking back a moment ago, at full stretch. And Australia just cannot find that levelling goal. What a game. It swung back and forth between the two sides, but this second half belongs to South Korea.
Indeed. Fowler brings it down. Lifting it forwards, headed away. And that's steered clear. Here's Casey Fair. Knocking it down the line. Back to Fair. All lifted over the top by Kim Shin-ji. And under pressure. Great work there from Park, who's brought down. But it's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, Hunt just got to be careful. The last thing they want is a very, very silly second yellow card.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is a foul. I'm very surprised it wasn't given as well.
Korea with another change.
Where do these subs keep coming from?
Well, that's their 6th, so I can only assume that the Catley one was given as a concussion substitute, which allows the opposition for another sub. And Australia haven't used that to make another 2. So, Minji coming on, Yunju making way. Like I said, does this mean it's China for Australia in the next round? It'll be the 2nd place side in Group B. So as it stands, China. But if China beat North Korea tomorrow, then it will be North Korea.
That's not a nice draw.
Either way, no. Ball in now for Kerr. Can she score? Worst possible time for it to cut there. And there is a goal for Australia. Australia 3, South Korea 3. And a yellow card here as well. I'm not sure who for. A messy exchange. Apologies there. The coverage from the AFC has been pretty poor here. But Australia have got a goal back. They are level. Kennedy won it initially. Kerr competed. Couldn't quite get the shot away. And we still haven't seen the goal. I think it was Kennedy. Put it in the back of the net. But yeah, Kerr couldn't get under her control. Kennedy lashed through the ball. And that's her 4th of the tournament, taking her to the top of the scoring charts. I'm not sure it's the goalkeeper there for slowing the game down or Ford for assaulting her.
Ooh,
Who got the yellow card.
Must be Caitlin Ford. No idea what she's doing there. So Australia level. Ford tried to get the ball back, so they need another one. The goalkeeper threw it away from her, so Ford just pushed her.
Her girlfriend is a fantastic influence on her. They are now checking this goal. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You can't disallow goals.
But they need another.
For attacks straight after.
No.
So, they are still checking this.
I'm not really sure what they're looking at, to be honest.
Yes, you can chalk off goals for assault.
Yeah.
There we go. Goal does stand. So it is Australia 3, South Korea 3. We're now into the 99th minute of 7 added on. Here's Casey Fair. Strong challenge in there from Carpenter. Kim competing. Seen out of play. And that's a South Korea throw right in this corner. They still need another goal here. Blocked out of play. Australia looking for a goal. The cameraman was going to kick the ball back in play there. Speed it up. And it's a bats on this side. I pity the lino trying to work out who on earth has kicked that off. Nevin getting it back quickly. We are about to tick into the 100th minute.
I think they just make it up at this point. Where's the argument? We had 3 minutes worth of stoppages within the additional time.
And there we go, the full-time whistle. They tried to play until Australia won, but it will be South Korea who top the group. An incredible performance. They deserve the 3 points in this match. They don't quite get them, but they will top the group. An incredible showing from South Korea. A brilliant double change at half-time, inspired a turnaround. And on home soil, Australia left frustrated as they seed in 2nd place. That could end up being very fruitful for Australia, but a matchup in the quarterfinal with either China or North Korea is not a favourable game at all.
Yeah.
Incredible for South Korea.
Yeah, brilliant from South Korea. A superb performance, and even with the equaliser, it's not enough for Australia. They needed to go for the game earlier, but take nothing away from South Korea. They deserve the 3 points. They walk away with 1, but that 1 is enough to remain unbeaten and to top the group. Superb showing to hold the hosts to a draw here. Brilliant performance. That second half was much better from South Korea. Both halves played out pretty similarly. South Korea coming out fast, doing the damage, and Australia spending the rest of the half trying to use the momentum to get themselves back on top. But really well played from South Korea. It may mean they meet Japan in the semi-finals, but it does set them up with a kind of quarter-final for Australia. Well, they're going to have a lot of work to do in that last 8 match, because whoever they play is going to be a very, very difficult team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, remember we'll be back live on Wednesday for that for the last game of the group stage, as we'll find out. That Group C is very interesting, and there we will find out who South Korea will play. As it stands with Vietnam, but if they can win their match against Japan, which feels like a stretch, they could be Chinese Taipei, but it's very open in Group C. So join us live on Tuesday for the end of that group. Apart from that, we're live for the quarterfinals across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So join us for all of those games live. Apart from that, looking forward to getting back to WSL action as well. Not too distant future. Ryzen saying Aeroplans just announced this will be their last season doing the game. Sad times. I reckon then there's an official WSL game coming, which I think is a positive. As great as the guys over at Aero Fantasy are, it would be great to have an official licensed WSL fantasy game. I think it's so necessary. I think we've seen in the men's game how the FPL has enhanced the experience for many international fans, especially. And I think it'd be great to have an official WSL licensed version. Are they going to give us our own league though?
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't think it's going to be as easy as Aero Fantasy, who just asked us if we'd want one. I don't know how the WSL would even contact us, but we'd love a league. Other than that, though, what an incredible Asian Cup we've seen so far. By far, my favourite game of the tournament thus far. A great matchup between two evenly matched sides. I think either of these sides could go all the way. As much as I don't think that was the best performance from Australia, I think we're getting closer to, well, at least we saw something positive in their last game. This was a bit messy, but I think you take some of the players out who struggled, you bring back some of the players who really impressed in that game against Iran, I think they'll be better. But tough game coming up next against either China or North Korea. That is very difficult either way. It will be a big test for them. But and in the other game, the Philippines have beaten Iran by 2-0. So barring a ridiculous game between Uzbekistan and Bangladesh, where it's either a 4-0 Uzbekistan win or a 5-0 Bangladesh win, we will see the Philippines into the next round. So a big result for them. Absolutely deserved. They gave a great game to Australia on the opening game of the tournament. Congratulations to the Philippines on what should be progression into the next round. That, though, is everything. Thank you guys very much for joining us throughout this Asian Cup. Remember, we're live 4 more games. Thanks everyone that's saying nice things in the live chat. We appreciate that, as always. If you are new to the channel, haven't yet hit subscribe, we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers for the end of the season, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't left a like on today's stream yet, make sure to do that as well. That is everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.